And Braid, it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be a really, really wild one. Guys, I came on early just because I'm not getting caught in my pants down today. Yesterday, we caught it to the wire. Me and Dylan were talking pre-stream, and the earnings came out. So do you know what? I said, we'll go before the market closes. We'll have a bit of a chat. We'll calm down as a group, but we're down 7% today. It's a bit of macro conditions. Yes, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. We have the government shutdown. But you know what? Archer's earnings is always fun, isn't it? Good, bad, or ugly. We always have a good time here. One thing from the very, very start I want to address, no matter what happens today, and I'll let you in on my thoughts in a minute, but no matter what happens today, this is not financial advice, but I would not be selling out no matter what. A lot of this is just to do with the macro environment. Good, bad, or ugly, it's going to go down a lot further than it originally would. Or if it's extremely good, it's not going to push up as high as it normally would. I would just be very careful around these times. I think around these times, especially with the government shutdown, your best bet is to do nothing. We like to be active in this whole investing community, but you know what? It is what it is. Guys, there's so many of you here at the moment. What? 50 of you, and we're not even at market close between X and YouTube. So thank you so much. I know your big support for Archer Aviation. I can already see it in the chat. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a wild one. We're going to have Reece and Dylan on with us, but you know what? Let me jump straight into the comments. Christian White, can't wait. I asked him about Tesla. You know what? We'll keep Tesla quiet for a while, my guy. Kyle, yeah. Big shout out, Kyle. Excited. We should have revenue due to recent purchases last quarter. Hoping for some big news release to maintain confidence. What big news are you expecting? I know Reece had a bit of a joke last night about Tesla. I'm not expecting to hear nothing about Tesla. If I do hear something about Tesla, I will flip the lid unless it is materialistic. I don't want to hear we met with Tesla at the UP Summit and that be it. Tonight is going to get very emotional. You know how passionate we are about Archer Aviation. If not, we're passionate about this whole industry. And I've said we're more or less 50-50 between Joby and Archer, but you know our passion towards Archer, so there will be a lot of emotion today. Master says, need a good report after this week. Even a good report, I don't know how it's going to affect this whole industry. Like, we need to think, loads of guys are not going to agree with me here, but any stock in this industry is speculative, whether you talk about Archer, Joby, just because the likes of Horizon has the smaller market cap doesn't mean that's the only speculative in this. Archer Aviation is very speculative, so it will always be affected heavy on the macro environment. Here we have the Archer Bull himself. I'm excited for you today, my guy. How are you getting on, Dylan? I don't have any audio for you, my guy. 2 seconds. Dieter, solid and convicted. How are you feeling today, Dieter? UAE revenue news should be interesting. Yeah, it will be quite exciting. We need evidence at this point, no speculation, promises of future outlooks. Now, guys, I have been speaking to Reece within the last half an hour, and you'd swear he wrote that was exactly what he said to me. We need something materialistic at this point. We don't want no speculation. We don't want no fake promises. So yeah. Dylan, how are we getting on, my guy?
Doing well. Super excited actually. It was great to cover the Joby call yesterday, and I think honestly the momentum of rolling into another eVTOL earnings call back-to-back days, it's got me jacked up. So for anybody on the U.S. side, I think it's the Raiders and the Broncos playing football tonight. So kind of as those teams are going through their playbook throughout the week, same thing on the Archer side. You know, kind of gearing up for earnings day, reviewing some past earning call notes, and yeah, just trying to sift through the Archer facts versus kind of retail investor speculations and such. And yeah, excited to know what we're gonna hear on this call. How you doing, Liam? What you thinking?
I'm not too bad. Look, down 7% today. It feels like the whole market's tanking at the moment. Like I'm looking across the whole industry,
Mm-hmm.
but not even like the whole industry, the whole market. The likes of
Mm-hmm.
Amazon's down 2.6% today. Tesla's dropping 3.6. Palantir down 6.73. Redwire, my beautiful Redwire, is down 17.67. We're hitting that $6 range now.
What's the dollar? It's coming up on 6.
601.
Okay, okay.
Vertical aerospace actually held quite nicely, 0.68% down, 435. Look, I want to start deep diving in vertical aerospace a little bit more, but look, this is an Archer Aviation call. We'll speak more about Archer Aviation. Yeah, today is going to be a big day. And I said, no matter whether it's good, bad, or ugly, I wouldn't sell in this extreme fear that's happening at the moment. No matter how bad something can be, it's going to get pulled on by the macro conditions. If we get a surprise announcement and it's extremely good, it's not going to push up half as high as it intended to go. So
That is
I
fair.
just think sometimes we like to be active investors, and sometimes the best way to be is a passive investor. Just sit back, relax, and just enjoy yourself. And that's what you can do here today, guys. So do jump into chat, steer our stream. I do love to hear from every single one of you. And Data has put it very nicely there. Nice, intimate group. Tony says, cheers and best. Big shout out, my guy. Henrik, good evening, all. Dieta, smash the like button for these guys working hard. Do, guys, smash the like button. It will help drive us forward in the algorithm. I've got an update. We had multiple people streaming our stream on Joby Aviation last night, so I will be putting an end to that. We did lash out with some copyright strikes to people last night, and some of the I don't really want to say this. Some of the guys on X are gonna really hate me, but
yeah,
in the next half an hour, I will be ending the stream on X, and we'll be only running it on YouTube so we can monitor it. So guys, I will be giving warning signs. I will be giving the links to drive across to YouTube. But look, there's too many guys trying to look, Archer or not Archer. YouTube can't copyright anything that doesn't come from YouTube. So when they stream it through X, I can't help it. Tony says, midnight is the greatest thing I have ever flown in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Big shout out, my guy. I've never played Microsoft Flight Simulator. I know my brother plays it, but never played it. Christian, I'm not selling my stock, not even to you. Do you know what? Me and Christian always say it, backing over to each other, sell each other our stocks. None of you says, if it goes to $8 or below, I'm buying more. Look, I'm ready to liquidate some of my positions to buy Tesla. I'm just getting very worried on what I will liquidate at this stage because the whole market's starting to pull back. It's not just EV. Like Rocket Lab for me now at the moment sitting from $50. And
yeah, down from about the 73s or so.
Yeah.
Do
you know what? I just have no cash liquid to go in, but I don't know. I think I might cut my losses on Redwire and just bang it into Archer, depending on what happens. Kyle says, not Tesla. Look, I'm not expecting Tesla. I don't want to actually hear about Tesla. Unless there is good news about Tesla, I don't want to hear about Tesla whatsoever. Christian White says, can't hear him. Oh, no, we've got that fixed now, my guy. Did someone break a leg? None of you. I'm not your fanboy, not afraid to admit. Do you know what? I feel like we all are here, so big shout out, my guy. All jacked up on Mountain Joe. I want them both to do well. Enough room at the table. You know what? Rinse and repeat that, because there's enough room at the table. It doesn't matter if we quadrupled our market cap, there's still so much room at the table for loads of eVTOL companies. The market is selling off just because we are at all-time highs. People are taking profits. No reason. We're only back 2% from all-time highs. So
I have a question for you, Liam.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was thinking, so now that we have Beta, that did IPO, and they came in at about the $6 to $6.5 billion market cap. which would be in line at about market cap where Archer, is currently sitting at about the $9 or so share price. So it got me thinking back to about 2021. And again, I started my investing in about 2023, late 20 or early 24. So I'm going to speak as accurately as I can to it. But it seemed that the sentiment from about 2021 is you were having a lot of some speculative companies IPOing through SPACs, which I've taken some knowledge to be that is not always the most preferred way of a company to go ahead and enter as an IPO. So I know that Joby was off Reinviant Technologies, and of course the Archer one slipped in my head, but the Archer one is currently still on the NYSE for who SPAC'd them. So it got me thinking the beta and kind of the initial pop, or at least hold on the initial IPO, because beta actually was up just a little bit today as well. And so I was thinking, now that we got the timeline for Joby, and we are looking at about 12 to 18 months out from proper certification, unless anything else in that changes. I'm curious if Archer and Joby would have either waited until 23 or 24 to IPO, just kind of where the company could be at, or just general investor sentiment may be at with inside of the companies. And then I kind of look at the 3-year run rate off of these companies where, again, you had initial high pops off the IPO back in about 21. You got into tough macro environments, a lot of sell off, both for probably this being a high beta stock, as well as the aircraft not being as mature in their stage of development around 2022 and so. So I'm curious now, as we're getting these more upfront timelines, either through Archer or through some of the other companies with inside of the space, just kind of curious how Beta's chart will start tracking. Will it be in one that this eVTOL momentum carries, and basically all tides rise the ships kind of situation? Or, if we're looking at 2028 as full commercial, and again, we're going to have this call and many calls that we'll hold to continue to update guidance around Archer. It'll be interesting to see if this sector is able to continue the momentum as we go into maybe what could be a lull in the maybe certification update process. I mean, it's like we'll get updates along the way, but again, just kind of going again to that map of the 12 to 18 months. And again, figuring out for whichever company you're investing in, if it's the eVTOL sector, and just kind of playing your investment strategy best to timelines and your time horizons.
The thing that gets me with Beta Technologies, have you bought into them at the moment? Or are you buying into them?
All right, so here's my honest, because we keep it honest here. I did decide to be a Beta shareholder, and I'll be honest, I am in with a whole 1 share. So I'm not saying that divulges the rest of my portfolio, as again, I don't think it necessarily always matters who has the biggest portfolio or portfolio size. I do hold more than 1 share of Archer, just for record on that.
You also solid too.
But yeah, I at least got 2. But I just felt like, honestly, in this sector, being that I was able to catch it at IPO, it's almost like just kind of like one that I wanted to get in, and whether it goes up or goes down 3-4 years from now, that might be a stock certificate that I have hanging on my wall. And I was very proud to purchase on the IPO date, regardless of if it does hang to that price or not.
Yeah, so what I was going to say, that I get very afraid to jump in on any company IPO. If you just look past performance on loads of companies and their IPO price, Beta Technology is one of those. The more I look into it, it does excite me. What I'm most excited about in Beta is that they seem to be going down a cargo road too. And I've spoken about this whole cargo. The ACHR aircraft as well will hold 5 passengers and a pilot. The only thing is, I don't know. I just don't know enough about Beta that would make me confidently jump in at this sort of range. I think they're going to need an awful lot of capital. Look, they are quite lucky with the amount of capital they have at the moment, but I don't know. I'll have to deep dive Beta a little bit more to give you a solid opinion on it.
And I'll tell you what, on that, Liam, maybe on Sunday we can wrap back around to some of the financials on Beta.
Yeah.
As I did dig a bit deeper into the financials. So yeah, maybe we can just kind of hold that and jump back in on the Sunday show and really kind of figure out where this IPO is sitting market cap wise and cash balance and cash strength and what Beta can do with it. But again, I think like we were saying yesterday, something that excites me about Beta as well as mission use case. Again, something about getting the eVTOL network adopted by the human and by the public. It may take proven use cases to get that done. So to me, what is a kind of simple and upfront use case that does not harm passengers or pilot, especially if we start to talk or think about the autonomous side. Now, if we're talking with passengers, I do think that is 5 to 10 years off, in my personal opinion. But to autonomously fly cargo, again, we're taking the pilot out of the loop. There's no passengers on board to harm. So those are two good check marks. And again, I hope the cargo arrives safely. And yeah, so again, as you start to maybe see, this is just kind of some forward thinking, maybe seeing something like FedEx, UPS, or Amazon, maybe picking up some of these Beta aircraft. And then if you start to again see these at your local airport or municipal airports and they become more familiar by look, then all of a sudden 2028, when this funny looking helicopter that's half airplane, half helicopter eVTOL is ready to take you to where you need to go. It's like, oh well, I haven't been in one, but I've seen them flying around. So yeah, let's book it.
Oh, I do love that. Yeah, so guys, market has just closed. We finished today 7.42% up. We are rising after hours 1.13%. I'd be very careful now. I am not sure. My brokerage, I can't buy Archer after hours. Can you buy it on Robinhood and that after hours? You can, yeah. I'd just be very careful now. I'm not one for trading after hours, but this thing is gonna bounce like a yo-yo now for the next while until the earnings report or the press release does come out for the earnings report. Guys, do let me know. Sometimes I can be speaking and I'll completely forget that the press release is out. So do let me know if the press release does come out in the meantime. Let me jump back to the comments here. So Dieta says, still early, Dylan. I think Archer will rise after earnings. The institutes are selling it off because they know it's going to pop. That's my optimistic view. I hope you're right, my guy. I think all our accounts hope it's right, not going to lie. None of you says, don't forget about the executive order and the military contracts. He's like me. I buy a few shares in some, just have an option. It's a good idea, not going to lie. CoreWave is the IPO that did the opposite. Markets closed. Big shout out. What's up, boys? Hoping to hear good news on the Android partnership.
Oh, Randy,
That
good to
is
see.
something we really want to hear more about. I want to hear more about the development of that hybrid
Great point.
aircraft. We need to hear, like, one of the biggest things. We need to shut people up, and we just need to hear about the vertical takeoff and landing. When are they doing it? I don't care if it's 6 months down the road. Just tell us 6 months down the road. Don't keep kicking the can down the road. And also, I do hope that the retail questions are a little bit, I don't know, less generic than the two we heard from Joby last night, because I thought that was actually taking the beat. Randy, that was awesome. And they have the paint now for the air fans for flying cars, and that's the thing I want to hear more. We are going to hear a lot about the Lilium patent acquisition. Want to see how that is going to be integrated into the business. Where we're going to see, we're all excited about Lilium's ducted fans, but we want to see how that is going to come across in Archer. Is there going to be new products being rolled out or design new products? We did see light sport aircraft be mentioned by Archer. It does give them an option, so we will see.
And maybe with that as well, I definitely hope to hear some of the updates on Lilium. But just for the investors to remember, that is a earlier acquisition. So, I know we'd love to hear it, but let's also keep in mind the acquisition that happened just after the last quarter, which was Over Air as well as Mission Critical Composites. So being now that Archer has had about 3 months or so to actually work inside of the IP that they got from the IP that they got from Overair, and seeing if they've been able to actually get some work done on the mission critical composite factory floor side, I think will be very interesting to hear some of those updates as well. And I agree with you very much on the Andrew partnership. Nod to Joby last night when they were speaking on L3 Harris, where they were able to open up and say, this is what we're doing and this is what we're giving them. So we've had about 2 quarters with Archer Defense where it's been a secret. So, I think it's time to let the secret out. Let us know what you're delivering, even if it's just a frame. But to that also, we have heard from Adam, I want to say at least 1 to 2 times, that with the Andrew partnership, it is going to be a sale of an aircraft. So again, as I continue to want but read between the lines, I maybe have gotten a little bit of that answer from Adam already.
Yeah. And that's the thing I really want to hear a lot more of. When we look at Archer, when we actually initially seen the 2021 presentation to investors, we heard Archer was going to be a manufacturer selling aircraft, but they're also going to be operating an air taxi business, e.g. what Joby does. Now, if you look at any recent interviews with Adam, he very specifically says we are going to be selling the aircraft to air taxi providers. So I want to know a little bit more. What's this sudden shift? Why are we no longer running the air taxi business? 2021, they said it was something like 80% of the revenue will be coming through the selling of the aircraft, and 20% will be going through the operating the air taxi business, but that will ramp over time where the air taxi business will take over. So it feels like as we've gone along, we've kind of pivoted a little bit and we will now be distributing. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually think it's a good thing, if anything. They're 2 different businesses. Manufacturing and selling an aircraft and operating a whole separate entity, a whole thing that Archer has never done before. Like Joby has never done this. Running a service is completely different to actually manufacturing. So it will be interesting. Guys, there's nearly 100 of you across there on X at the moment. I have now dropped the link to the YouTube stream. I will be cutting off the X stream in around 15 minutes just because people keep restreaming our stream and I can't bang them with a copyright strike if I'm streaming it on X. So do jump across to YouTube. Do you know what? To make this a little bit better for you guys, I will be running a giveaway. So
love it.
Be in for a chance to win. Look, do you know what? We'll give out 10. We'll give out 10 today. So do bang the subscribe button to be entered in our free Archer Aviation giveaway. As long as you're subscribed, completely free to subscribe. As long as you subscribe, we will put your name into the hat. That's completely random. If you keep that picture, of course, but you have to be subscribed. That's not my rules. That's YouTube's.
And maybe I could throw this out there really quick, just for anybody following Archer, and I'm going to pop open both of my notes here. It was Vanguard as well as, that's why I put this as Archer. It was Vanguard as well as BlackRock, both within about the last 2 weeks have taken additional stakes inside of Archer. So you do have those, let's see, BlackRock now takes 7% ownership stake. And let's see, Vanguard, they increased their position currently on July 29th. They were in for, I'll get you the exact numbers. But anyway, as of now, Vanguard is in for 8.11%. So they did up their stake. I think it was 7.29% before. I apologize if I got that number wrong. But BlackRock and Vanguard both showing investor confidence through Schedule 13Gs filed through the SEC this quarter, 2 weeks ago. So.
Thank you so much for that, Dylan. Look, guys, 182 of you here between YouTube and X at the moment. Can't believe that an hour before the earnings even start. And you're lining up, so big shout out. I actually can't believe this is happening all over again. Tony says, if you flew midnight, you would absolutely understand why this changes everything in aviation. Nothing more simple and safe has ever existed. This is why Archer, Joby, and Beta will rule right now. And look, completely agree with you there. I don't think the world's ready for this step up in 3D mobility. So, look, aren't we blessed to be early investors? No matter what happens today, we're blessed to be in this early. Golden Billion, big shout out. Loves Joby. Never mind, that's old. Tony says Textram, Embraer, and Jet eVTOL are getting in soon. Again, they changed everything in aviation. Andrew and Archer, codename Mafra. Anyone know what the backlog is? I heard they had billions of orders. I want to know what the updated backlog is. We were looking at 6 billion. We now have. Did them memorandums of understanding go into their backlog?
I would say there would be backlog orders based on the approximate $5 million sale price right now. So with everybody that's doing the, generally you're getting about 100 MOU MOU order for about 100 aircraft. So on each one of those MOUs, the intended buys would be at about 500 million per. Whether it's United, UAE, whoever is doing the UAE MOUs.
Like this quarter alone, we have Japan Airlines and we had Korean Airlines. So,
do
you know what? It's really building up. But I know the Joby guys are going to go memorandums of understanding on that legal binding. So, look, swings and roundabouts. I prefer having it there than not having it there at all. Randy says operating seems like a pain in the A. It does. Do you know what? We've said that so many times that it's a completely different business. Running a service, it's like having, I don't know, who are we going to talk about? Volkswagen, and then all of a sudden they own Uber on the side. It's completely different. No one does it, even in the automotive industry. The only one planning to do it is Tesla, and we know how big Tesla is, and we don't know how smooth that's going to run yet. I believe it will run smooth. I'm a Tesla investor, but it is what it is. None of you says lol. CK says pivoting is part of life. These companies are still startup. Change is part of the game. But completely agree. We do need to be able to constantly pivot, adapt, and overcome in this area. The man himself has arrived.
Yeah.
I hope we got him.
200 people, and he lands into the chat. Come on, my guy.
Better late than never. That's what they always say.
Vertical landing in, Reece.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a big night for us, guys. I've probably missed out on quite a bit there. I imagine the beginning interlude I've missed. What are you expecting today, Dylan? What's the is it? Do you think it's gonna be positive? Will it be negative? Are we gonna hear this stay the same?
I'm regardless of what we hear, I'm excited. I don't think personally that there's going to be anything that's going to shock me negatively from this call. I am looking, like I said yesterday, to maybe get some clarification on where 704AX is. I know that there's been some ADBS ping signals that have been going off from California that are being tracked. One thing I started to look into was, does that have to be a fully built aircraft to actually have the ADS signals go off? So, and speaking with some people, they do have a portable ADS system, like talking to people, they have their own personal portable ADBS system that can ping off. But then when I take that thought and actually go back to looking at some of the research, it does look like the ping is coming from the tail number 704AX. And seeing, again, maybe if we get any indication on the Dubai Air Show, whether we're going to go CTOL or not. And also, if we're going to go CTOL at Dubai, let's just come out and say it. Like, I think I'm okay at this point with Archer. I'm okay with the truth, So I think, in that sense, knowing where Archer stands. And I think for me, like I was saying at the beginning, kind of like a few football teams getting ready to have a match, it's like, for me, spending the week kind of gearing up for the Archer earnings call, reviewing some past quarterly earnings reports, and seeing where the guidance was and now. But what we got, Liam?
Guys, I can see some of you guys are asking, "Are we doing the webcast?" Yeah, we are doing the webcast. Don't worry, guys. Archer is pumping after hours. Now, guys, be very, 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 very careful here. This could be a complete bull trap. I would not rush in now until the earnings report comes out. I'd be very careful. Francisco, how many times has this happened with Rocket Lab early on, where we pump high and then as the earnings get released, we collapse? So just be very, very careful. I'm expecting earnings to come out any second now. Joby did do it quite early, but I will keep you up to date. Guys, anyone on X at the moment? I'm about to turn off the stream. Do jump across. I've linked it to YouTube. We're doing a free giveaway over here. It's completely free. Just bang that subscribe button and you're in with a chance to win one of 10 prizes in the Archer giveaway. There's 254 guys with us at the moment. I'm about to turn off the X stream. So anyone that is on X at the moment, guys, do jump across to YouTube now. So we're no longer on X, I believe. Guys, this is wild. Reece, I said about how we can get so passionate as Archer Aviation investors. I'm expecting this to be a passionate earnings call.
Couldn't agree more.
How are you feeling going into the
I'd say anxious would be the only word to describe it at this point. I don't think that I'm going in with the same optimism and like willing as I was at the beginning. Yeah, and that's just literally due to multiple earnings calls where I've just been slightly disappointed. And I really hope at the moment that I actually like it's the weirdest thing to hear from investor, but I just want to hear steadying the boat and that the boat's not capsized. And it's even if we do get great news, the only thing that I've kind of been stung with now, I'd say 3 earnings calls in a row, is we get great news or like this is about to happen, and then 2 earnings calls later it's like, oh, actually it's in the process, and like then there's other words that sort of describe it, and then you feel like you've been led down a bit of a path. I just want them to be exactly like Dylan had said. I want them to be truthful and I know the problem is I don't want that. I want them to just lay it how it is. But that's because I look at them every day and I'm very like invested, and I can understand where somebody who's just dipping their toe in the water and gets a bit of bad news, like a redesign, will be scared by that and might be thinking, actually, I'll hold off until the redesign is complete. So I can see both sides of the story, but from the selfish perspective, I want to hear some good news tonight. I want to be hearing, don't worry, no redesign. We're carrying on. We're into TIA testing, and will be finished in, well, they won't be saying when they're finished, but like we're into TIA testing. We're right behind Joby at the moment, and yeah, we'll be there.
Let me ask you guys
this. Says, we'll raise our expectations. No, I completely.
As comes with Archer investors, yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, Reece. We need some material from this earnings call. I don't want no more promises. I don't want no more, I don't know, kick the can down the road. I just want it factual. I want it to either be good or bad news, but just deliver me the facts. I will be bullish if they tell me we're going to eVTOL transition with a pilot on board in 6 months' time. If they tell me the reasons why it has been delayed to 6 months' time, and they don't lie to me and say, I don't know, that it's on the way within the next few weeks. So, do you know what?
I do think that like at some point though, you have to remember about like when Joby started and when Archer started, and like that has to come into play at some point. It's a bit like if you're like building a football team or something. Like we had Arsenal there; they need a few years to get up and running, and sometimes you can be there or thereabouts, but like sometimes you just need a bit of time. And I can understand that, and I can get behind that, but don't mislead me. That's the bit that I'm a little bit anxious about, and I don't want them to keep selling dreams and not being able to deliver. It's that thing, isn't it? You want to under promise and over deliver, not over promise and under deliver. That's the worst place to be.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you, Reece.
I'm very anxious for this one. I'm really hoping that Adam, and we know Adam is a lot. Adam's Adam's a lot more of a better. Adam's a much better speaker than Joe Ben, so he presents it a lot better. He sounds a lot more confident. I'm just hoping that today we have the answers for the questions.
Question for you, and maybe for the chat as well. I believe this would be 2 earning calls past, so I believe this would be the 3rd that would come. What if the shareholder deck comes out and we are still at 12% of the percentage towards certification? So I believe quarter over quarter, I believe that percentage did not change, or maybe just ticked up 0.5% to 1%, maybe at the most. So just kind of curious, either with you guys or through the chat, if you are to see that they still are in the 12% area of certification, just kind of initial reactions and how you may feel about that.
To be honest, I wouldn't be massively surprised if it was down to the redesign.
Yeah.
However, if they were saying they're not redesigning, they're still at 12%, then there's massive alarm bells and red flags being like, so what did you do in the last 3 months? Like, what have you done? Like,
I agree.
Fair enough if we went back to the drawing board and we're starting again, but like now we're on the right path. But like if we're on the same path and we haven't moved, then I'm sort of there's big alarm bells going in my head of like, we spent quite a lot of money in that last month. Were you just having a jolly up, or like what are we doing? Now I don't think I'm imagining there must have been some progress. As we said as Adam said in the last earnings call, we've made more progress than last earnings and stuff like that. So there has to be some progress. It can't be the same. Like that would be a dagger to my heart, to be honest. What about you, Dylan? How would you be feeling about that?
I think I'm with you, Reece, a little bit in understanding the why. But honestly, the biggest thing that I feel like I've learned over the last week is the cybersecurity risks and how these aircraft are able to cert. And again, I'm always, if I'm wrong, please let me know and I'll hold my hand up, and I will admit that. But it does seem like the data that's being taken off of the Midnight is coming from the actual flight control area, and that they're, at least from Joby's crew, meaning like the workers that actually work at Joby on the charging ports and such, had notated that there was less of a cybersecurity risk through their charging port networks. Although with Archer going with CCS, it's a lot more of a compatible charging network. So if you are to see the scale up in the eVTOL industry, if you're having 1, 3, 5 players that are going with CCS charging, another one's out there on an island, if you got to land, recharge that aircraft at, X, Y, or Z vertiport, I would assume that you'd want to be able to have one en route that's going to have the charging capability to help you out as well. So curious on that. And then also a little curious, I'd love to hear Liam, because I know I probably cut him off and I apologize, on the LA SEC. It was a LA Sports Entertainment Commission. I'll have to get that one right.
Yep.
But really to see, again, if there's any solid guidance on what they're going to be doing at these things. So again, maybe if we wrap that back around to the International Air Show. Well, first you can go back to last guidance when they said that there was going to be a piloted flight, which again, we kind of all presumed that would have been VTOL, ended up being CTOL. And then again, I think kind of in the Archer kind of bullish way, we were getting to the California Air Show, the California International Air Show, and we thought that was going to be our unveil of VTOL right there, and we got our CTOL ops. So it would be curious if they do speak on LASC, their intended plans on what they look to do at the World Cup, maybe grow, expand on that to the Super Bowl, and all to lead up to the exclusive air taxi network deal that has Archer partnered with the Olympics and Paralympics as well.
Yeah, I've openly said that, well, if we see the likes of redesign taking place, I would expect it to come in conjunction with vertical takeoff and landing flights being demonstrated around the World Cup. What I think we'd see at the World Cup is exactly what we've seen with Joby in the likes of Osaka, exactly what we've seen with Joby in Salinas. You'll be doing your transition flights, you'll be meeting the Midnight up close. I honestly think the only reason we haven't seen the Midnight up close, they're not fully 100% sure what the final design of the interior of Midnight will look like. Yeah, so I'm not expecting much from the World Cup. I think it'll be more demonstrations. Then going into the Super Bowl, look, potentially you might get a few celebrities getting transported around, and then I think the major rollout will be the Olympics. But then not speaking to Adam, wish I was.
You're welcome to come on, Adam.
Yeah, listening to Adam. He believes around the World Cup we could start seeing some demonstration flights with passengers. So I don't know. It is what it is. Hopefully we get some clarification. I wouldn't be overly confident that we'll get much clarification on what it will look like going into there. I think we'll get more told that these partnerships are coming to fruition and this is what the infrastructure will look like. I don't think we'll actually find out, are we passenger bearing? Are we just demonstrating? How much of a presence are we going to have here? But I don't know. I could be wrong. I do want to jump straight back into the chat though. And guys, I am aware it's 30 minutes until the call. So do let me know if the press release does come out while I'm speaking. We have Tony says it's exciting to think about how AI will be implemented in coming years. AI co-pilots, navigators, autopilots. We did hear Joe Ben speaking about that, and he actually believes it'll be within the next 5 years. 5 years, I think, is very quick. I think it'll be a push to go for 5 years, but yeah, that's what it is. Bagger Holden, big shot, my guy. If they don't explicitly say they aren't going to change the design, then they are changing it. I don't know. You may not need a change of design. They may be doing a few allocations to the current design. So, look, it is what it is. Liverpool, not Arsenal. Do you know what? Top of the league, my guy. Kyle says Tesla live streaming is on. Yeah, there is a shareholder meeting at the moment. Dax Player says Joby won't go commercial until 2027. Max 20, so max 20 or so units, got plenty of time. Pure marketing guy, I think we're referring to Adam there. I'm not worried about that. This company is not going anywhere.
I agree with that.
What?
He's saying he's not worried about like this getting the certification because.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
I agree.
This is this could be one of the day.
Adam can tap dance in a rainstorm and not get wet. Do you know what? I'm gonna save that. I'm actually gonna save that comment. Yeah, and that might be used later, depending on what happens. Tony says the only thing I might like in a redesign is a hybrid gas, just in case. I think it takes away from the whole industry if they completely pivot to hybrid.
I wouldn't mind hearing them designing that separately, not redesigning if they're completely.
So like adding it to the
similar to what Joby was saying about that L3 Harris, where they're doing like a separate venture, military based. There's a possibility that could actually. That could be.
They are doing the hybrid with Andril, but a passenger bearing hybrid. Maybe, I don't know. I can't see the point of it when they've gone this far with the whole eVTOL design. And I think within 10 years' time, the battery technology will have come on that much that if you've gone this far with the whole electric design, I don't know, would you start rolling out hybrid designs now? I think there's a different use case in the military where they may need the backup
range,
of,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Not a range.
So then, none of you says they're going to blame the shutdown. Just dawned on me. Do you think they'll give any predictions like UAE service or type conforming craft completion or type certification?
I don't think I'll give time frames.
Yeah, I don't know. Will they just stay clear of the UAE at the moment?
But to the I'm sorry, Liam. I'm sorry.
No. Go for it.
But on that though, I am curious because based on last earnings call, I believe that they said that the UAE was actually going to be. Thank you, Jess. was going to be bringing, was going to have a revenue generating sale prior to 2026. I'm sorry, 2025 being over. So again, kind of like the same situation that some of the other companies are in. We're kind of dealing with that algebra problem of the mass rollout, the scale up in production, and being able to fulfill, promises, orders, promises to order, all that stuff, as well as having enough aircraft still to provide to FAA to do your TIA testing on. So it's like, as you continue to build these aircraft, where do you intend for them to go? If some are going to go to Anduril, some will be going to UAE for sale, and some are going to have to be held back, obviously, for the TIA's testing. So looking probably minimally at about 10 to 15 aircraft there. If they had 6 in, I believe it was 6 in final production, 2 at the Covington facility based on the last earnings call. Might be interesting to see if they've moved more down to the Covington facility and how the Golden Line's been doing, and if they're implementing that down in Georgia yet. But yeah, on that, I would just be interested at least to hear if they're sticking to the guidance of the sale of the aircraft to UAE before year is over.
Then, I like that things that can glide, Taxpayer says. Joby Archer merger, I couldn't see that happening. Even though Adam did shout out Joby earlier, didn't he? Then, any positive impact of Lilium's, I think he's meant to say patent portfolio acquisition. Hopefully we hear a little bit more about that, how it's going to be integrated into the whole system. Are they going to come out with new products? We did hear about the Light Sport. Would I be happy with them coming out with new products at the moment? I think we need to sort out the one that we got before we enter that Light Sport sector. So look, it'd be exciting to hear about Lilium. We need to hear about Lilium though, because I don't want to go around spending, 18 million or so without Reece. That could be where all the money's gone, my guy.
Yeah.
Tax player, no mercy, please. I can't stand the look or safety of an S4. I think their safety's okay now. I know you keep referring to their accident they had years ago, but I think their safety of the S4 is fine. Tony says, being able to dial in your slow flight speed is unheard of in aviation. 1 knot up to 20 or so, and reverse, being able to control your speeds in hover has only been an F-35 tech. Fred says, how long's till the earnings out? I'm constantly refreshing.
Yeah, I'm with you, Liam. I'm like, refresh.
I don't want to scare anyone, but we had that initial pop, and now we're just floating around the $9 range. So we're only 1% up now. So
I wouldn't bite too much into it though. Like, at this point now, it's just speculation, isn't it? Let's see what we actually find out.
Eric, what do you guys think of partnerships Archer did last month? I'm quite happy with them. What did we have? We had the Oracle one. We had the Korean Airlines one. Who else do we have? Did we have another one?
So you said Osaka, Korean Air, Japan, like you said, and partnership. I'm blanking on it. Was JetX in this quarter? I think JetX was last quarter actually for the partnership. Yeah, there we go.
Japan Airlines, that Oracle one. It's in there. So yeah, look, quite bullish on it. Look, we were discussing earlier about $1 billion, hopefully in backlog. Yes, yeah, memorandums of understanding, but aren't you better having it than not having it? I know, Joby, you're going to jump on us there and say that it's not legally binding, but it is what it is. Sorry, my guys, I just keep looking up because I think it's refreshing.
Really quick, also, as I was looking at the spreadsheet, they did also have the Cleveland Clinic in Abu Dhabi, which was announced as well this quarter. And that was going to be also as they're integrating the first vertiport over there. So I think I had made a comment on X when that had came out, where I think it would be very interesting for the sector when you have news break of an eVTOL that was actually involved, whether it is organ transfer that helps save somebody's life or probably maybe organ over person. But either way, you know, if you're having somebody whose life was saved by having those minutes spared and getting to the hospital, I think that's bullish for the whole sector, and having that use case moving forward.
No, that whole medevac sector, I think, is really pushing forward. And we did say the likes of Horizon Aircraft were in a league of their own when they were talking about this whole medevac. But you've now seen Archer pushing into it. You're now seeing Joby push into it. Yes, long range, you can say the Caverat X7, but do you know what? I think Archer and Joby will dominate when it comes down to it. Bagger Holden says revenue generating sale, like pretending to sell one to rich Arab partner to sit in this garage. Analytical Visionary says, I am long on Archer and have been investing since its SPAC. For me, it's a 10 to 16-year-old or year hold.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll take some profits along the way. Do you know what?
I like
Completely
that.
agree with you there. Yeah, 10, I could even see 20 years. We're going to be sitting here for a long time. So, do you know what? Strap yourself in. Do smash
Make sure
the
you subscribe to your
yeah. For 20 years. Do you know what? 20 years we'll be sitting here. We'll be
I
old
love
and
it.
grey.
I love it.
Yeah, guys, do smash the subscribe button. We have, nearly 300 of us here at the moment. Now, I'm refreshing left, right, and center, trying to get this earnings up. I'm still being shown the Q2, guys. Anyone else have any luck? Archer's starting to push forward, 2.14% up. Does that mean something's happening?
Check if
Kathy
any
Wood
EBS.
is sitting with a finger on the trigger. Then, do we get clearness about the 2 billion spending? Do we get clearness about the 2 billion spending?
Talk about cash.
Like what they're looking to do with the available cash?
That must be it.
Yeah. It has to be guidance on the 2 billion. Because I want to be fully transparent here. They haven't spent 2 billion. If they have, I'd be very, very worried.
Oh yeah, Eric just said yes down there.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so we may get guidance on.
We'll get some part.
We should get guidance.
In the next quarters and then maybe the next year or so. But I don't think they'll give us an absolute clear path of how each penny of that 2 billion gets spent. They'll give us maybe a key point for the next quarter or two.
Kyle says they've never been late on financials. It's been right after market bell. Guys, has anyone been checking out Tesla at the moment? They could be releasing their partnership with Midnight. Do you know what?
Let us know.
I don't know what's happening at the moment. Joby yesterday came straight out 15 minutes before. Guys, are you refreshing it there just in case I am
absolutely
not picking it up? But to me,
nothing yet.
Yep. None of you says my comment earlier about the government shutdown means they will say they delayed their FAA certification because of it. Now, the only thing is, Joby did say they had FAA officials there on the ground with them, so I don't know, can they get away with that?
Yeah, I think if that was brought up, I think that would be a tough one to digest. And, I think that's what's important about covering the whole eVTOL space, as much as, I personally love Archer and some of the other eVTOL companies. But, if I put Archer at the top of my list, comparable guidance is something very interesting to go off of. Again, whether it's to the CERT shareholder decks, and just like you said here with the DARs and DERs on the floor being unpaid at the moment, which to me signaled that, yes, we still have a push from the administration within inside of the FAA to have this be important enough to have those representatives out on the floor. But yeah, if that is brought up just as a general signal of why we can't do this or why we can't do that, I think that's where we can be honest and say, well, that's not what other companies are saying. So it will be interesting, as
Francisco,
they always
I'll
are.
answer your question in a minute, but this comment actually did make me laugh. They're still in the toilet puking. Francisco says, so what do you guys think? There's a lot of players. Who is going to be the winner? Joby and Archer. Beta's going to be up there. Yeah.
I think if we were talking about horse racing now at the moment, I think Joby's pulled ahead. Archer, like they were the two main lead favorites. Now I don't know if that's bias and my own personal backing behind that, and I put a few.
Do you not heavily invested in EHang as well?
That was the.
He
I
let
remember
go.
when I heard about a Chinese eVTOL company, I was 100% behind it. And then when I done some digging and stuff, and I seen the security guards having a kip, and then they're walking into the factory and it just being an empty building, I was like, never. But like to be fair though, they've turned it around. Like the moment they're a trendsetter, they're a trailblazer.
So all you need to do is put this security guard to sleep, and then eVTOL ops. The manufacturing still booms. It's the security guard that's holding it back, right? Come on, Archer, put that guy to sleep. What's going on?
Archer's pumping 3.8% has to be out.
Actually, let's see.
Yeah, coming out.
Hot.
Comment here, shareholder letter. Got it, guys.
Cool.
Right. So, without further ado, guys, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Away we go. So, let me get this up on the screen here. We do have, let me take the comments off the screen so you guys can see it. So, we have Q3 2025 earnings now. We're doing 22 pages long. I probably will have to get you to step in again. But, looking at the highlights, the acquisition of Los Angeles Airport, a strategic air taxi network hub and AI testbed. So, they signed a definitive agreement to acquire control of one-of-a-kind aviation assets in LA Hawthorne Airport for $126 million in cash. The airport is located in the heart of the city, less than 3 miles away from LAX, and the closest airport to some of the city's biggest destinations, such as SoFi Stadium, the Forum, Intuit Dome, and downtown LA. The plan for the airport to serve the operational hub for the planned LA air taxi network as a testbed to serve the as a testbed for the AI-powered aviation technologies development plan to deploy with their airline and technology partners. Now, what I'm initially thinking straight away, for you to put that first thing on the thing, this call is going to be heavy on that whole LA rollout, the whole sports partnership. I think that's the direction they're going to steer this. Midnight achieves record flight milestones towards certification. So they've recently showcased several key performance milestones with their Midnight aircraft, including flights surpassing 50 miles in range and 10,000 feet in altitude. Additionally, Midnight flew demonstration flights on both days of the California International Air Show, allowing tens of thousands of spectators to experience how quiet the aircraft is in flight. And that was when we went head to head with Joby. So the Lilium patent portfolio acquisition was closed for $21 million, giving Archer access to key next generational technology in ducted fans, high voltage system, flight controls, electric engines, and propellers. The acquisition expands Archer's global portfolio to over 1,000 assets, giving it one of the strongest portfolios in the industry. Now, I really need to hear what they're actually doing with these patents. It's all well and good saying you have the largest patent portfolio in the whole eVTOL sector, but if you're not going to use half them, that's my worry. UAE commercial deployment underway and strong demand across the APAC. Now, guys, look, you're all asking this. Are they going to speak about the UAE? So in the UAE, they delivered and began flying Midnight in Abu Dhabi over the summer alongside their partner, Abu Dhabi Aviation. Following the commencement of the in-country flight testing, in October, they hosted the UAE General Civil Aviation Authority at their HQ to continue rapidly advance their UAE regulatory pathway. Across Asia, they strengthened their international reach through marquee partnerships announced with Korean Air, as well as Japan Airlines and Sumitomo joint venture Circle in Tokyo and Osaka. Looking at the financial position, it's reinforced their sector leading balance sheet. So they raised 650 of new equity capital, reinforcing their sector leading balance sheet, taking the total liquidity to now over $2 billion. their quarterly spend was within range. The Q3 2025 spending landed within their guided range and included planned investments to support the company's growth trajectory. Now, just going over them highlights, guys, how are we feeling at the moment?
Go for it first, Reece. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm slightly like the fact that this is the first page.
Boy, she's pumping 6% up.
I was literally, I've got that here on my phone right now. Yeah, 947, 950. But the thing is, we all need to remember, don't get carried away. Like, we need to actually hear the earnings call because these things happen. The thing that I'm most worried about is the design and where we are in the certification process.
Yeah,
there doesn't seem to be any mention of it. So, like, I've never really had any problem with partnerships and like the logistics and how the Archer will operate. The problem for me is, like, can they get the design out of the way? Can they get to the certification? Can they basically provide the service that they're selling?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping now we're going to get to page 3 and 4 and it's going to be a lot more explanation. So yeah, apprehensive still.
Nice, Reece.
What about you? What about you, Dylan?
You know, honestly, still fired up. It brings me back to the quote that Adam had, where it's for him and his company, he's determined that if he quotes to say, "Win LA and win the world." So to me, he's focused on what his company's guidance outside, you know, being the CEO and what the CEO has guided, take away the design manufacturing aspect. He has set out to win LA as he feels like that's going to be the way to globally expand and to globally get the name out. And so far, what I'm hearing and have seen is continued lean in and additional support from Los Angeles and continuing to look to grow out the vertiport networks. And yeah,
I think it'd be fair to say that this is why we all believe in Archer so much, is like the fact that they can get so many partnerships. They seem to have like a global reach. They just seem to be, they're able to get deals done. It seems to be a lot quicker and swifter than maybe a Joby. And that is the thing that keeps me so bullish still on Archer, even through,
I think
like,
sales
the downtimes.
have never been their problem, have they?
No,
their ability to negotiate, and I feel like Adam could talk his way out of a Chris packet.
Yeah,
this man can come away. He can sell at midnight to the Arabs. We'll put it that way. That's never been their problem.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, selling memorandums of understanding, even contracts, it's never been a problem to Archer. They were able to get in with the likes of Palantir, United Airlines. The whole problem comes down to the whole engineering part, and this is where we need to really hone in. But we're only on page 2, guys. So look, they have signed to get Hawthorne. So operational hub in unique central LA locations. The plug and play anchor for air taxi operational hub in strategic LA location for the LA 28 Olympic Games and beyond. And it goes back to this quarter when we were speaking about this whole LA 2028 Olympics. And I think this is just going to be their razor focus now for the next 2 years. They're unlocking LAX. So it gives them a unique ability to support air taxi operations in and out of LAX and some of the city's biggest attractions. We did go through them before. So they deepen strategic alignment with key LA stakeholders, plan future investments geared to align with and support community leadership with the goal of creating significant economic activity for the surrounding community. So the key factor is around 5,000 by 100-foot runway. Real estate is 88 acre site, hangar, office, terminal, and expansion opportunities equals to nearly 400,000 square feet. The airspace is FEA contract tower, controlled class D airspace, and then FBO current renovation to be completed by the end of the year. So there's a lot more spending going to be happening. Profitable enterprise with a strong growth potential. In 2005, the city of Hawthorne entered into a public-private partnership covering airport operations through to 2055. And we will be old and grey by then. As part of the transaction, they will acquire the remaining 30 years on the airport master lease, as well as the subleases with the tenants at the airport, subject to city approval. And this is what we said with Mark Berry at the time. He said this is how airports are acquired. They're acquired in lease stages. Problem is, 30-year lease. After the 30-year lease, you do not own this facility.
Yeah.
So we need to remember that. I know we're pushing out 30 years into the future, but let's just get the facts straight first of all. They're going to receive an exclusive option to acquire a controlling stake of the FBO at the airport. Key management and operational team that has operated the airport since 2005 will stay in place. They believe that there's a significant upside potential in increasing aircraft movement and bringing below market sublease rates up to market. So this is what the Hawthorne's going to look like. Or it's what it does look like. But building a platform for the future in LA at Hawthorne Airport, look, this looks like it's just going to be all about this whole Olympics. So flagship LA air taxi hub, they plan to use the airport as a flagship air taxi hub in LA, strategically positioning the LAX International Airport and the SoFi Stadium with opportunity to directly link downtown LA, Orange County, Hollywood, and major Olympic venues by air taxi. Now, look, I know there's about 5 minutes left before the call. So what I might do, I might skip through to some of the parts. So look, phase one.
Just grab a quick glass of water. I'll be back in 2 seconds, lads.
Yeah, 100%. So phase one, the goals are to capture near-term value by building an advanced air mobility center of excellence. So we're going to hear about all this in the call. Phase two goals are to build a platform for the future. We're going through aviation tech and arts, passenger and crew experience, and critical LA infrastructure. Looking at Midnight's flight campaign, it achieved record milestones. We all know about the 55-mile flight, 150 plus mile an hour for 30 plus minutes, and it did reach the altitude of 10,000 feet. So
here we go. Yeah, measuring. Yeah.
Measuring this FAA certification. So they have now completed phase one. They've completed phase two. They've substantially completed phase three. I don't really like this substantially completed. It doesn't show us as a percentage.
Sure.
They're in process in phase four. Now, that graph is horrible.
It's like what? Yeah.
Just before an earnings call, like 10 minutes before an earnings call, this has got
allow us to dissect that in 4.5 minutes.
I want to skim through that quickly. While the government shutdown has impacted the FAA, they continued their piloted flight test phase of Midnight's flight test program as they prepare for TIA testing as part of the fourth and final phase of Midnight certification program with the FAA. Having conducted thousands of ground tests and hundreds of vertical and conventional takeoffs with Midnight aircraft, they continue to mature the flight test program ahead of TIA, with multiple White House executive orders now establishing the presidential imperative to begin air taxi deployments in the US as early as next year. The eVTOL integrated pilot program will begin to showcase advanced air mobility to the general public. This will help build trust in the industry and further accelerate the path towards commercialization. We need to hear more about the EIPP. So what I need to do, Archer's gone red. And this is exactly why we said never buy into the pump, because it's a bull trap straight away. Looking at
go for it.
UAE commercial deployment is on the way. How many pages have I left? About 10 left still. Strong demand. We all know about the Japan and Korean Airlines. Looking at Indonesia, in June 25, Archer and PT I cannot pronounce that. IKN signed an agreement covering plans to deploy an initial fleet of Midnight in Indonesia under the launch edition, and that is 50 Midnight aircraft. Looking at upcoming events there. Then, Dylan, your speciality. Go on to the financial review.
Off mute, and I got the financials right here, and we're gonna go through them. So really quick, the Q3 2025 financial review for Archer Aviation. We reference several non-GAAP metrics in the financial discussion that follows. Unless otherwise noted or defined, our non-GAAP metrics are calculated by starting with equivalent GAAP metrics. A reconciliation of non-GAAP financial measures to the most comparable GAAP measures is provided below in the section titled GAAP to non-GAAP reconciliation. And Priya Gupta will speak more on this on the call. Right now we have on for this quarter total operating expenses coming in at $174.8 million for a net loss of $129.9 million. Non-GAAP total operating expenses coming in at $121.2 million. Adjusted EBITDA would have that as $116.1 million. Cash and cash equivalents and short-term investments looks to be 16413. I guess that's gonna read in thousands. Sorry if that's millions. I want to get that right for you guys, or billions. So I'm gonna let Priya speak on that. Total operating expenses. We got about 2 minutes on our third quarter 2025. Total operating expenses represent investments required to achieve the key elements of our commercialization plan. We continue to invest in development, test, certification, and production activities of our aircraft. We also expanded investments in our go-to-market strategy and support infrastructure to enable early bring-up of our air taxi operations globally. Total GAAP operating expenses for the third quarter of 2025 were $174.8 million, which decreased by $1.3 million from the second quarter of 2025, driven by reduction in parts and material spend, which vary quarter by quarter, offset partially by the investments in people-related spend to support our current phase of development, testing efforts, and operational scale up. Total GAAP operating expenses in the third quarter of 2025 increased $52.7 million from the third quarter of 2024 due to similar reasons mentioned above. Total non-GAAP operating expenses, which are GAAP operating expenses less stock-based compensation and warrant expenses, a reconciliation for which is provided in the financial statement sections of this letter. So for the third quarter of 2025 were $121.2 million, which decreased by $2.3 million from the second quarter of 2025 due to reasons discussed above, and increased $24.4 million from the third quarter. Go for it.
We're about a minute away. How are we feeling, guys? I need to get this off.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I think it's I'm very interested. I think there's very little mention of maybe the design where we are, and I think we should all listen out where we're sitting at the moment.
I completely agree. I think we need to. I need to hear about the vertical takeoff and landing. I think the Hawthorne Airport is amazing, but at the same time, if we can't get a vehicle that can transition by then, I will be very, very worried. So, look, it's all up in the air at the moment. I think this is what's gonna determine what happens here, because we are starting to go down like a pebble, put it that way. We're now about 4% down. Can Adam steer it around? Do jump into the comments, let us know. Smash that subscribe button. We're the only eVTOL channel that's running 0 ads for this. No ads, no interruptions. Guys, just how you like it. Smash that like button. We don't ask you for anything else. No, I do ask you for something else. Guys, if you're not subscribed, do bang that subscribe button. We will be running a giveaway straight after the earnings. It's going to be passionate. There's going to be fireworks. Me and Reece are prepared to live by the sword, die by the sword. This is going to be a wild one. Good luck, guys. I wouldn't worry too much. No matter what happens, I would not react. We will have a nice discussion after this call, just to calm our heads, whether it's because we have announced a mega deal or whether it is commiserating our losses. We will address it. We will then do a live stream tomorrow.
Today's Archer Aviation Company third quarter 2025 financial results conference call. My name is Victoria, and I'll be your moderator today. All lines will be muted during the presentation portion of the call, with an opportunity for questions and answers at the end. I would now like to pass the conference over to our host, Katie Kewell, Head of IR. Katie, please proceed.
Welcome to Archer's Q3 2025 earnings. This is Kate Kewell, Archer's Head of Investor Relations. Today, we will be making forward-looking statements that are based on assumptions as of today, and we don't undertake any obligation to update them as a result of new information or future events. Risks and uncertainties may cause our actual results to differ materially from those contemplated by these statements. For more information about these risks and uncertainties, review the risk factors in our SEC filings. We will also be discussing both GAAP and non-GAAP financial measures today. A reconciliation of those measures is included in our shareholder letter and earnings release from today. Now, I'll turn it over to Adam. Adam?
Thanks, Kate. Last quarter, I spoke about the growing support our sector is receiving from the highest levels of the U.S. government and how the Olympics mandate has become a global stage for us to showcase air taxis as we work to commercialize and drive global scale. This quarter, we made meaningful progress on every front worldwide, from LA to Abu Dhabi to Seoul. With multiple White House executive orders now establishing a presidential imperative to begin air taxi deployments in America as early as next year, the eVTOL integration pilot program has enabled Archer to shift decisively from vision to execution, scaling commercial air taxi operations across the UAE, America, and in select other cities globally. We're especially focused on winning Los Angeles, because if we can prove electric air taxis work in one of the world's most congested, complex, and highly regulated cities, I believe we can subsequently scale the product across the U.S. and the world. Today, I'll start by sharing a strategic development that gives us a unique ability to launch and scale in LA, a one-of-a-kind opportunity to acquire control of Hawthorne Airport, one of LA's most strategically located airfields, and use it as our anchor hub for air taxis ahead of the LA 28 Olympic Games and beyond, as well as a test bed for our AI technologies under development. After that, I'll discuss key recent highlights from across the company, including breakthroughs in technology and certification, momentum in global partnerships, and the maturation of Archer Defense. We announced earlier today that we've signed definitive agreements to acquire control of Hawthorne Airport, a rare asset located less than 3 miles from LAX and the closest airport to downtown LA, the Forum, Intuit Dome, and SoFi Stadium, the site of the 2028 Olympic opening ceremony. The team and I are actually holding today's call from Hawthorne this afternoon. Hawthorne is an 80-acre airport with an approximate 5,000-foot runway capable of supporting some of the largest aircraft used in private aviation, such as a Gulfstream G650, and benefits from 24/7 operating authority and has a capacity to handle significantly more movements than it does today. The site features hangar space, office and terminal space, and significant expansion opportunities with the ability to more than double the existing hangar footprint. It is a profitable enterprise with a long-term master lease in place through 2055. Establishing Hawthorne as a key pillar of the Archer network in LA gives us a structural advantage, a generational opportunity to control a key airport and build the first purpose-built eVTOL hub at the center of a world-class aviation corridor. But Hawthorne is more than an airport. It's a landmark of American aerospace history. The city built this airfield in the 1920s to attract Jack Northrop to Hawthorne. Northrop went on to create some of the most innovative aircraft of the 20th century here, including the Flying Wing and the T-38 Talon, pushing the boundaries of flight. During World War II, this airfield became a symbol of American innovation and resilience. Thousands of workers, including the women who inspired Rosie the Riveter, powered the nation's aerospace transformation. Hawthorne's motto at the time said it all: more jobs than people. The same tarmac that once launched Northrop's breakthroughs later became home to SpaceX's LA operations and served as a proving ground for the Boring Company's first test tunnel. Archer plans to now carry that legacy forward, ushering in the next chapter of advanced aviation right here in the heart of Los Angeles. Today, Hawthorne Airport is already a profitable enterprise. For Archer, it will become even more, the blueprint for a new class of urban aviation hubs around the world. We envision Hawthorne as LA's Grand Central Station for air taxis, the centerpiece of our Southern California network, where passengers will one day seamlessly fly above LA congestion on predictable 5 to 15-minute routes between key destinations, including Hollywood, downtown, and Orange County. It will also serve as Archer's innovation testbed for next-generation aviation technologies, including AI-driven air traffic control and operations management, seamless passenger identification and security, and more. Alongside this acquisition, we're announcing that we've raised $650 million of new equity capital, reinforcing Archer's sector-leading balance sheet with over $2 billion in liquidity. To make this vision real, we continue to focus on scaling manufacturing to support both certification and early commercial deployments. Our near-term goals remain to ramp production up to 50 aircraft per year across our roughly 700,000 square feet of manufacturing and test facilities across California and Georgia. As I discussed last quarter, we're assembling our initial fleet of Midnight aircraft. These aircraft will move directly into testing or early commercial use. We're now nearing completion of the piloted CTOL flight regime, validating operational performance across distance, speed, time, and altitude. Our test pilots have expanded both speed and duration profiles to reflect real-world commercial missions. Recent exciting milestones include 55 miles of range, over 30 minutes of flight time, and flying at altitudes up to 10,000 feet at speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour. The consistency between simulator and the real-world performance continues to validate our engineering approach and reinforces our readiness. Tom will share more shortly, but I'm proud to say that this quarter, Midnight took center stage at urban flight demonstrations around the world. At the California International Air Show, tens of thousands watched and barely heard Midnight fly. In the UAE, we initiated commercial deployment with our launch edition partner, Abu Dhabi Aviation, one of the region's leading operators. This quarter, we expanded our flight test program with our first international flight in the heart of Abu Dhabi against the backdrop of the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque, one of the nation's most iconic landmarks. We've since continued to progress our flight testing as we look to validate the aircraft's performance in the region's extreme heat and humidity and advance regulatory approvals with the GCAA towards passenger carrying operations. Excitingly, we've now begun receiving initial payments for these commercial operations under our Launch Edition program. Momentum has been particularly strong in Asia Pacific, where we recently solidified relationships with the national airline carriers of Japan and Korea. A few weeks ago in Seoul, we announced a partnership with Korean Air, which selected Archer as its exclusive air taxi partner in the country following a rigorous evaluation process, with plans to purchase up to 100 Midnight aircraft. As Korean Air moves towards completing its acquisition of Asiana, it will become the nation's largest airline, and we're proud to partner in shaping Korea's adoption of next-generation VTOL technology. In Japan, our consortium with Japan Airlines, Sumitomo, and Soracle continues to make meaningful progress. Earlier this quarter, Osaka officially selected Japan Airlines and Sumitomo's joint venture, Soracle, using Archer's Midnight aircraft as its air mobility partner. That makes Archer the first U.S. eVTOL manufacturer positioned to play a central role in establishing commercial air taxis in Osaka. And just yesterday, Tokyo followed suit, selecting our consortium led by Japan Airlines as one of two groups that will lead eVTOL commercialization. I recently hosted Japan's Minister of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism at our headquarters, a milestone that reflects Japan's commitment to leading in advanced air mobility and its confidence in Archer as a key partner in that effort. These advancements across the Middle East and Asia position Archer at the center of the two most advanced aviation regions outside the U.S. You can expect to see us continue to mature our operational plans with the world's top governments and airlines. Our international growth continues to attract increasing interest from defense opportunities worldwide, including our ongoing collaboration with Anduril. Last quarter, I shared details of two strategic acquisitions that advanced our defense platform: key technology from Overair, a Carum aircraft spinoff, and composite manufacturing capabilities at a facility in Southern California. These advancements position Archer at the intersection of America's commercial, defense, and regulatory momentum, building the foundation for the next era of flight. Sitting here today, watching aircraft take off and land as I deliver this update couldn't be more energizing. The era of advanced aviation has arrived, not as a distant vision, but as a tangible reality. At Archer, we are not waiting for the future, we are building it. The time to seize this transformative opportunity is now. Over to Tom.
Thanks, Adam. From day one, our focus has been consistent, finding the most efficient path to making urban air mobility a reality. We have been disciplined in our engineering approach and deliberate in the decisions around aircraft design, manufacturing readiness, certification strategy, and flight test operations. That approach continues to cement us as one of the leaders in this sector. Let's start with flight testing. Over the past few months, our Midnight program has consistently delivered strong results. We are now routinely flying longer, faster, and higher as we expand the aircraft's operational envelope. Recent flights have exceeded 55 miles, more than 30 minutes of flight time, altitudes up to our 10,000-foot service ceiling, and speeds in excess of 150 miles per hour. These missions are providing valuable certification data, and importantly, they closely mirror the majority of mission profiles we expect in early urban deployment environments. This quarter, we were thrilled to fly as part of the California International Air Show at our home airport in Salinas, where tens of thousands of spectators saw Midnight fly. The consistent feedback we got at the event was how remarkably quiet our aircraft is. It really is a special experience to see the aircraft fly by at well over 100 miles per hour and barely be audible above the ambient noise. It was also a special moment for our team, many of which got to bring their families to see the aircraft fly. The exciting news is that we are nearing completion of Midnight's piloted CTOL test campaign, and the consistency we are seeing across repeated mission profiles continues to solidify our confidence in our path to certifying Midnight, both in the UAE and the US. Our next flight test phase with Midnight will be piloted VTOL, including full transition flights with our type certification intent 4-blade aft propellers. Unlike the CTOL envelope that we are now close to completing testing on, the VTOL and transition flight regimes are not new for Midnight, as we have previously completed an extensive flight test campaign with Midnight without a pilot on board. As always, our focus remains the same: disciplined execution, safety, and readiness for commercial operations. The momentum continues to build, and the team continues to deliver. As Adam mentioned, we are continuing to build our initial fleet of piloted Midnight aircraft across our facilities in Silicon Valley and Georgia. The next piloted Midnight aircraft is just wrapping up manufacturing and will move into ground testing shortly, and flight testing as soon as it's ready. This aircraft is equipped with the 4-blade aft propellers that are part of our type cert design and will be used for piloted VTOL and transition flight testing. We continue to build out the capabilities needed to support a rate of 50 aircraft per year across nearly 750,000 square feet of our manufacturing and test facilities. Our golden manufacturing line in Silicon Valley remains the foundation of our manufacturing ramp. As a reminder, this is where our engineering and manufacturing teams refine build processes, tooling, and quality controls to ensure repeatability and efficiency. The lessons and tools established on that line are feeding into our high-volume production ramp. Across all our locations, we remain focused on building a production system that is reliable, scalable, and ready for certification. The progress we are making in parallel on manufacturing and flight testing gives us high confidence in our ability to transition Midnight from development into commercial service smoothly and with the discipline this industry requires. On the certification front, we have obviously all been impacted by the government shutdown and are hopeful that this will be resolved soon. On the positive side, part of the FAA has continued working our program despite the shutdown, and we have continued with certification efforts in several areas, including continued SOI audits, as well as continued work with the FAA policy team to close the remaining industry-wide policy topics related to flight test. Finally, I want to touch on our progress on the defense side. Over the past quarter, we've focused heavily on integrating the technologies, capabilities, and teams we acquired from Overair and Mission Critical Composites. Bringing that talent and technology into our program is key to accelerating our development cycle. We now have in-house composite structures manufacturing capability, giving us expanded rapid prototyping capacity, which is key for the new aircraft we are developing. We also continued maturing our hybrid electric VTOL aircraft program. While the specifics remain confidential, our work here is centered on delivering a clean sheet next-generation aircraft designed to incorporate the best of Archer and Overair's technology, meeting the needs of operators who face demanding and complex missions. Momentum across the defense platform remains strong, and we are encouraged by the deep engagement from allied countries worldwide. We look forward to sharing additional updates as and when we can. Also, this quarter we completed our acquisition of Lilium's patent portfolio. This was one of the most significant technology portfolios in electric aviation, particularly in ducted fan propulsion, high voltage systems, and advanced flight controls. Integrating this IP strengthens our long-term leadership position and expands our design space for future hybrid and electric platforms. It also positions us well against emerging opportunities unlocked by the Mosaic rule, which enables a more flexible path to field innovative aircraft across both light sport and regional mobility categories. We view this as a strategic advantage for both our defense roadmap and potential future commercial variants. And now I'll turn it over to Priya to talk about the financials for the quarter.
Thanks, Tom. With our team continuing to deliver significant advancements across the key priorities you and Adam have discussed, our core focus from a financial perspective is ensuring we are operating from a position of strength. The key to that is maintaining a strong balance sheet. We closed Q3 25 with $1.64 billion in cash equivalents, and short-term investments, and today announced an additional equity raise of $650 million. As Adam and I have discussed previously, our goal is always to be opportunistic with our fundraising activity, and that's exactly what occurred here. As we considered options to finance the Hawthorne transaction, we received substantial inbound interest that led us to do the offering announced today, which had a very strong outcome with the round being well oversubscribed. We view our ability to raise capital as a core strategic advantage that helps power our ability to seize on key opportunities. We often hear from government, commercial, and other strategic partners that liquidity is a key driver to their decisions of who to partner with. They understand the capital-intensive nature of our industry and want to work with partners who will be around for decades to come. Some examples of this include LA28's decision to select Archer and us winning the Lilium IP bid process over our competitors. With our total liquidity now over $2 billion, we intend to continue to use this as a tool to win future strategic opportunities across the business. But it's not good enough just to have a strong balance sheet. We must remain focused on ensuring every capital allocation decision directly supports long-term value creation for our shareholders. As we've consistently emphasized, we take a very disciplined approach to how we invest that capital. Our Q3 spending reflects our continued investment in our key priority areas: aircraft and AI technology development, certification, manufacturing ramp, and commercial operations infrastructure to support all our planned line of business in civil and defense, both domestically and abroad. Our continued emphasis on execution is what has led us to land our financial results within our guided range, and this quarter was no different. Our net loss for Q3 25 was $130 million. This was a $76 million reduction from Q2 25, primarily due to the non-cash impact of warrant revaluation. Our GAAP operating expenses for Q3 25 were $175 million and stayed essentially flat quarter over quarter, as increased people-related costs were more than offset by the timing of material and supply-related spend. Our GAAP operating expenses for the quarter included approximately $53 million of non-cash stock-based compensation-related expenses, which reflects the cost associated with stock issued to our employees, non-employees, and vendors. Our adjusted EBITDA for Q3 was a loss of $116 million, landing within our guidance range of $110 to $130 million. Our Q3 adjusted EBITDA loss represents an approximately $3 million decrease from the previous quarter due to the reasons we have discussed earlier. With regards to cash burn, our cash used in operations and in purchase of property, equipment, and intangibles for Q3 25 was $126 million, which was essentially flat quarter over quarter. For Q3, our cash used in purchase of property and equipment was $20 million, generally in line with the guidance I provided during our last call, and represents a slight decrease of $4 million over the previous quarter, which included our strategic acquisitions of composite manufacturing assets and over our patent portfolio. Looking ahead for the upcoming quarter, we estimate our adjusted EBITDA loss to be between $110 to $140 million. We expect our core capital investments to increase in Q4 as we continue to build aircraft and expand investments in our manufacturing capabilities. These estimates do not include the costs associated with the Lilium and Hawthorne acquisitions. As we announced today, we closed the Lilium acquisition for approximately $21 million earlier in Q4, and we expect the initial closing of the Hawthorne acquisition to occur by year-end, which will entail us funding the $126 million purchase price in cash. What's clear is that now is the time to ensure we solidify our position as a market leader across electric air taxis, the future of vertical lift for defense and cargo, and the AI-based technologies that will be used for decades to come. This is how we can deliver enduring, outsized value to shareholders. With that, I'll turn it back over to Adam for Q&A.
Great, Adam, the line is open.
Thank you, operator. We're going to open the call up to Q&A. First, we'll start with the analyst community, and then we will move into the retail folks at the end. Operator?
Of course. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you'd like to ask a question, please press star followed by 1 on your telephone keypad. If for any reason you would like to remove that question, please press star followed by 2. Again, to ask a question, press star 1. As a reminder, if you are using a speakerphone, please remember to pick up your handset before asking your question. Our first question will come from the line of Edison Yu with Deutsche Bank. Your line is now open, Edison.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to ask about the big news on the airport. What kind of advantages do you think you will gain by taking ownership of it? And does this signal kind of some intention on what you might do from a software standpoint on air traffic control, on autonomy?
Thanks, Edison. So this was a very unique opportunity. Airports don't really change hands very often, sometimes not at all. If you look back over the past 5 years, there are only a handful of assets that have traded in the entire U.S. So opportunities like this are, I think, very rare. Now, our big strategy has been focused around Los Angeles, especially with the Olympics coming up. And so as we've been building out the infrastructure, Hawthorne was a really opportunity to not only just be a major hub, but also to be a point where we can go test, roll out, do all of our depoting, all of our MRO at. And so our vision is to create this Grand Central-like opportunity for the Hawthorne Airport. We looked at it as you can go out and buy a hangar. We would have had to pay somewhere between $50 to $100 million to buy a large hangar. And so the opportunity to actually get control of the airport, plus the FBO, plus all the different growth opportunities was something that we couldn't pass up. But I think most unique is the opportunity to actually go roll out our software in an airport that's in the middle of a large city. So the Hawthorne Airport operates in Class D airspace, not in the Class B airspace where big LAX planes are operating. There is an FAA contracted tower here, and so it gives us a really unique opportunity to really roll all this stuff out. It's more than just looking at it from a revenue or EBITDA perspective. It is structurally advantageous for us to have this right in the middle of LA. It also happens to be less than 3 miles from both LAX and SoFi Stadium. It also happens to be located all in the different Elon Musk companies' territories, like the Boring Company. The Boring Company has tunnels that run underneath the airport, and so lots of interesting creative opportunity potential in the future.
Understood. And then I know you mentioned that it's already quite profitable. Any way to dimension the contribution financially from them going forward?
The revenue has the opportunity to be in the tens of millions, and it is EBITDA positive. But we don't really think about it like that because there's some decisions that we have to think about. So one is, do we sell hangars? Do we build new hangars? Do we lease new hangars? Or do we consume them ourselves? And so there's a bunch of decisions that have to get made in terms of how we will utilize the airport. But we look at it mostly from a strategic standpoint. I think if we wanted to, we could carve out the airport and make money, but that's certainly not the goal. The goal is really to take it as a strategic asset and use it to have a structural advantage in the industry.
Gotcha. And just on the raise, I know you're using some of it for the deal, but it seems like the deal is fairly small in size. So you actually raised quite a bit more. Any insight as to, I guess, what the extra was for?
Yeah, it was opportunistic. We weren't looking to go out there and raise capital. There was very large reverse inquiry from very high quality investors. So that was, I think, unique for this period of time. I'm guessing a lot of that came off the back of the beta IPO because there's a lot of interest in the industry, and I view that as just a very positive signal. So I think that was one thing. The strategic asset was also a really unique thing that came up as well to go do that. So the viewpoint was we have been looking at both the civil and the defense side of the business. As the civil side of the business starts to approach getting close to market and the defense side of the business starting to ramp up, we thought it would be prudent to add a little bit of extra cushion to the balance sheet. And then finally, from an offense perspective, we have found that the capital has been a real weapon in terms of going out and being able to do things that we might not have been able to do. For example, the Lilium portfolio, we were actually the lowest bid when it came to the different bids that were out there, but there was a lot of confidence in our ability to close, and we ended up winning that because there had been previously some issues that the bankruptcy group had been through before. Also going to customers like the big defense partners, when we show up with a large balance sheet, they take us a lot more seriously because the programs that we're looking at are so large. They look at us and say, if we're going to go get you guys involved in a many, tens of billions of dollars size program that's going to last for, they call them generational programs, you need to go deliver against that. And so it puts us in a position of strength to do that. So while this was opportunistic, I think we are done raising capital for a while for now.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Our next question comes from the line of Andres Sheppard with Cantor Fitzgerald. Your line is now open.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Andres here. Congrats on the quarter. Hey Adam, I was wondering if you could maybe help us flush out your latest vision for commercialization, in the UAE and through your launch edition. Just wondering if you could maybe remind us timing or expectations there. Are you looking to sell aircraft in the region? Just a little more color on your vision there for commercialization. Thank you.
Thanks, Andres. So we kicked off our launch edition program in the UAE this summer, and we delivered an aircraft and began test flights in Abu Dhabi, and we did that in partnership with our partner out there, Archer Aviation. And as a reminder, each of the launch edition programs carry a multi-year commercial value in the tens of millions of dollars to Archer. And so we've already started receiving initial cash payments in the seven-figure range tied to operational milestones. And then beginning in 2026, we expect to recognize payments as revenue under the accounting treatment for the program takes place. And then just this week, we saw the Director General of the UAE's National Aviation Regulator reaffirm publicly that they remain on track for certification as early as Q3 26. So that would enable our partner, Abu Dhabi Aviation, to begin commercial passenger service in the country once that takes place. But as a reminder, we sell aircraft. As we sell aircraft, we start to recognize revenue and collect cash. So we have the ability to do that really all over the world, as you've seen with our launch edition partners. So right now, what we're doing is balancing the volume of aircraft we're building against testing in the US, the EIPP program, and the launch edition customers. So there's certainly lots of opportunities to do all three.
Got it. That's super helpful. I appreciate that color and revenues next year. That's exciting. Maybe as a follow-up, was wondering if you could, either you or Tom can maybe expand a little bit further on the defense side and maybe on the hybrid propulsion. What kind of opportunities there are you able to share with us that you might be pursuing, whether it's with Anduril or other partners there? Just another maybe update on the defense side. Thank you.
Sure. So we are deep in the process of product development with Anduril, and we've been working closely with the customer on building for specific missions. What's become very clear as we've gone through this process is that you cannot just take a hybrid powertrain and put it onto an existing eVTOL platform. The defense industry is not interested in that as a product. There are specific missions that need to be filled, and so we're building a platform that is reusing as many of our systems, subsystems, manufacturing processes as possible. And if we're selected for that program, I think it'll change the game for vertical lift warfare. And so when we have something to show, we'll show everybody. But if you look at the size of past rotorcraft programs, they are absolutely massive and they last for decades. So we continue to be very excited, engaged in that. We continue to be very positive that good opportunities will come. And so that's largely where the defense opportunity, we think, sits.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and congrats again. I'll pass it on.
Thanks.
Thank you for your questions. Our next question comes from the line of Savi Syth with Raymond James. Your line is now open.
Hey, good afternoon. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about the kind of the EIPP program. Just curious, what the thinking or the strategy is behind it for the DOT and how you think it's going to work.
Sure, thanks, Savi. So there's been a lot of speculation about the EIPP, and it really is still forming. But the purpose of the EIPP is not really about generating revenue. It's actually about introducing aircraft into urban environments and gaining the trust of the flying public, gaining the trust of the municipalities and the regulators. And so the program will roll out conservatively, simple point-to-point routes in good weather, VFR conditions, and the goal is really to prove the safety and capability of the aircrafts. We all know the type certification process is it's sort of an all or nothing type process, and while I understand the purpose of that, I believe the way that autonomous cars or Waymos have been rolled out makes actually a lot of sense. You start in a small area, you gain the trust of the public, and then you start to expand. And I think by having a process like this, it will release the certification pressure valve, and it should accelerate the path towards certification and commercialization.
That's helpful. If I can just follow up briefly on the 100, I think in the 8K release, it was kind of called out that 171 million for Horizon. It seems like the purchase price is 126. I'm kind of curious what the spend, the near-term spend you see at Horizon, and kind of what that incremental spend there is, and just kind of how you think about spend over the next kind of year or two.
Sure. So there's the core price, which is the 126 million for the airport. There are development rights, and then there's the FBO, and that adds up to the 171 million. There's decisions that we can make in terms of how much to spend, but there's not some big giant number that we're going to go deploy into the that's expected for us to go deploy into the airport in the near term. And so we'll look at that in terms of the value that can be created, the operations that we need to scale LA and scale into the Olympics. But those are still decisions to be made, but I would not expect some giant dollar number. I also would not expect us to go try to replicate this all over the country or all over the world. These opportunities don't even really exist. This is like an N of one asset. And so it is pretty unique from that standpoint.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Our next question comes from the line of Bill Peterson with JP Morgan. Your line is now open.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Mahima on for Bill. I was hoping to follow up a little bit on certification. Would you be able to share your latest expectations around when you expect to begin TIA testing, and when you also expect to be testing Midnight with, FAA pilots on board for credit?
Yeah, hey, Mahima, this is Tom. I'll answer that. So we're actually getting pretty close to starting our first TIA campaign with the FAA, and that could happen as soon as the end of this year. Just to kind of level set everybody, as I've said in the past, the TIA process, at least for us, will be broken into many phases. on the order of, say, 10 different TIAs, each one targeting compliance for a very specific, system or aspect of the aircraft. So the first one of those, again, we plan to start around the end of the year. And the way you could think about the evolution here is as we continue to deliver or finish manufacturing of these aircraft, each one will be built with systems and aspects that conform in order to support further TIA testing, ultimately building up to a final fully FAA-conformed aircraft, doing kind of the final FNR, or function reliability testing for the aircraft. I think one thing that's kind of important to know is that right now, as we said before, we still do have a couple policy items open with the FAA. And so, us or anybody in the industry can't do that final TIA for the purposes of flight performance until a couple of those items are resolved. And, we're still optimistic that that'll happen very shortly. Otherwise, progress is looking really good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the color. And then as you kind of ramp up your manufacturing capacity here, I think you mentioned up to 50 aircraft, in the coming months. Do you think that that's sufficient to support all the demand that you see in the next year between, the test aircraft, the EIPP, defense, and then some of your international launch edition programs?
Hey, Mahima, this is Adam. The demand far exceeds what we can build. And so we're really in the phase where, we kind of broke this out into chunks. We said we built that first chunk of called single-digit aircrafts, and then we're looking at that next chunk, which is in the 50 aircraft range. And so we're looking at from the standpoint of making sure we can have enough aircraft to support the different opportunities we have, coming, whether that's the launch edition programs or looking ahead and supporting the Olympics, and really trying to think about where the near-term opportunities will be. But if we theoretically had hundreds of airplanes, I think we could deploy them, sell them, put them out there. But I also think we are learning how to build. And so there's different chunks that we're going through as we scale that up. And we're also, of course, finishing up and getting through the certification process in the U.S. and then, of course, internationally as well. So it's a balance amongst all of those. But I think it really starts with, there's a high-level demand for the product, and then it's us being able to deliver against that from a manufacturing and then ultimately certification.
That's super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Our next question comes from the line of Austin Moeller with Canaccord. Your line is now open.
Hi, good evening. So I just wanted to ask about the Lilium asset acquisition. Is Lilium's silicon dominant anode battery or the ducted fan technology more important to you, and when might this be incorporated into one of your aircraft platforms?
Thanks for the question, Austin. So we've been following Lilium closely for several years, and we have a lot of respect for the engineering ambition that Daniel and his team brought to the sector. And they built very impressive technology with world-class European talent, and they invested $1.5 billion behind it. And so our consolidation of the innovation by winning that bid for us was, I think, actually quite positive, and that there were a number of foundational eVTOL technologies around ducted fan, propeller systems, high voltage systems, and many others that we were able to accumulate patents on. So it adds around 300 patents, patent assets to the Archer portfolio, bringing our portfolio to more than 1,000 patent assets globally. But much of the technology that was being developed there, we believed was still a little bit ahead of its time, but it holds meaningful potential as the industry matures. And so the depth of the ducted fan IP, we think, is quite compelling. We're laser focused on Midnight, but that technology one day could support new architectures, including some of the smaller format or light sport concepts, as the regulatory pathways from Mosaic unlocks innovation in those adjacent segments. So we view this as a very important long-term enabler, and just another example of us consolidating the technology foundation of the industry.
Okay. And just on the purchase of the Hawthorne Airport, I think when we were in your office, we discussed the importance of real estate at airports for eVTOL. So are you planning to transfer any of the space at those airports either to FBOs or airline customers to be able to use, or how are you thinking about using that valuable real estate?
So the airport is quite large. It's 80 acres. And so we have partners in the industry like Beta who come and electrify airports. And there's groups out there that we partner with that I think could also find value in the airport. So there's lots of ways to think about it. One is we can build a centralized hub that everybody can use. And so it could be a way to help bring the industry together and create a main point of interest for us all to use to really help unlock a city like Los Angeles. And so I think that's one really attractive way to look at it. Another one is as the industry matures, it gives us a real central hub for all the maintenance, for all the depoting of aircraft in the middle of the city. So when you think about like launching operations, you don't really want to have to fly your aircraft in 30 minutes, 45 minutes from somewhere, significantly outside the city. So this was just super unique from that standpoint that we could use that. But I think it's an opportunity to really help the industry propel forward in a complicated city. And then the other side of it is it gives us an incredible opportunity to go out and test out all of the software, the AI capabilities that we've been building, from air traffic management to all the other capabilities we mentioned. The industry is going to need to evolve to support the large advanced air mobility expectations. And so that's not just on manufacturing, that also has to come from the software side as well. And so we plan to use this airport as a test bed to deploy that, partnering with the regulators to really showcase a lot of these technologies.
Great. Thanks for all the details. I'll pass it back.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Our next question comes from the line of Amit Dayal with H.C. Wainwright. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Congrats on all the progress. Apologize if you already discussed this, but any color on the burn rate for 2026?
Hey, Amit, this is Priya. Thanks for the question. So, when we think about 2026, the biggest expense will continue to be our Midnight program. So next year, we'll be producing and deploying additional aircraft. As we've talked about earlier, we'll balance where we deploy these aircraft, between UAE, EIPP, flight test, and other opportunities. Some of those opportunities will be generating cash, and they'll net these expenses we've talked about. But, when we think about beyond the scope program, we expect to invest in our defense and software development as well. So first, for the defense program, we do plan to leverage a large portion of the existing resources we have, as well as the test infrastructure. But we do expect to invest incrementally to support the program, which again locks a lot of the value and big defense contracts that Adam's talked about. For software, we'll be again investing to build a product which could generate revenues in the future. Timing of that is still to be determined, and we'll talk about it closer to the time when we get there. And then, of course, finally, we talked about the Hawthorne acquisition today. We'll be integrating that into our business next year, which is, again, generating revenues and will be generating margin. So we'll be incorporating that into our financial results for next year. So again, hopefully that gives you, again, a framework as in how we think about next year. And we'll get into, official guidance when we get to that point in time next quarter. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful. And then just clarification on the number of aircrafts, you may need to get through certification and commitments in UAE, et cetera. Like, are we targeting around 10 aircrafts, for over the next, 6 to 9 months?
Yeah, so there's 6 aircraft in production now with parts on order for, many more than that. But as Priya mentioned, we're sort of trying to judge or be opportunistic with where to use those aircraft. So certainly there's a planned portion of those, at least, that will be used for FAA certification testing. But others we want to send to EIPP locations in order to support that testing, as well as our activities in the UAE. So until all those things start to materialize, we have optionality for kind of how many to send to which location.
Understood. And, just last question, Adam. This is an interesting acquisition, this airport, strategic asset for you guys. Do you think this sort of triggers a little bit of a, land grab in terms of other sort of players or even direct participants trying to, get involved in taking ownership of such assets, given they are limited in number, and some of these could be in critical locations that could support expansion efforts in the long term. Like, how should we think about some of these types of assets that are adjacent to the story, that now kind of comes to the fore after this deal that you've undertaken?
I think that some of the competitors would be interested in doing that. I just don't think there are opportunities to do that. These assets just change hands so rarely and sometimes never because they're owned by the municipalities. So they're very unique in nature when they come up. Again, we plan to use this asset as a hub for Los Angeles and to really build around it. And we welcome the competitors to actually use it and to kind of unify more as an industry to together help operationalize an incredible city of Los Angeles, which can have a huge opportunity. And there'll be plenty of room for us all to help change the urban landscape here.
Understood. Thank you for that. That's all I have, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Our next question comes from the line of David Zazula with Barclays. Your line is now open.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. Yeah, I guess first, on the launch of different aircraft, I know there's not that much you can say, but I guess, are there any modifications that you anticipate to be able to, use the currently flying Launch Edition aircraft as the conforming aircraft for testing with the GCAA?
With regards to the certification in UAE, which is with the GCAA, as I've talked about in past calls, we've got a very detailed kind of step-by-step plan for delivering data to them to support the kind of phased integration of the aircraft and ultimately getting to passenger service in that country. A lot of that is leveraging testing we've already done or are already doing with the FAA. And from there, it kind of tees into the discussion we had earlier around TIA. And so I would just go back to our framework there of each aircraft we're building is really targeted to generate specific data to provide to regulators, both in the UAE and the US, in order to show compliance. So again, that kind of merged with trying to, let's say, balance where we put our priorities as far as allocating aircraft. We've got essentially like a lot of paths, but they all lead to really exciting things for next year.
Very helpful. And then, Tom, could you maybe give a little more color on any impact that the shutdown has had on the certification timeline and the ability to progress towards the conforming aircraft in the U.S.? Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I touched on it briefly early on in the call, but we are still engaging with the FAA despite the shutdown. So on our program, some resources continue to work, which is fantastic. Others are unfortunately not available. So hopefully that situation gets resolved soon. But in several areas, we're sort of unconstrained, just continuing to execute all the areas that have approved cert plans, and we're just in execution mode.
Thanks, Tom. Much appreciated.
Thank you for your questions. Our next question comes from the line of Chris Pierce with Needham. Your line is now open.
Hey, good afternoon. Apologies if this came up earlier, but with the acquisition of Hawthorne, given its much different, geographic footprint versus Stellantis, do you have kind of carte blanche to fly test flights in that area, or do you need to talk to the regulators further, given the higher population density, or just broadly kind of going into basically a city?
So you can break this down in a couple different ways. So this will not be used as our core test flight facility. We will still be using Stellantis as our core test flight facility. Once you get kind of certain hours of maturity on the aircraft, you can start to fly and get permissions to fly in and around urban environments. EIPP, as an example, is a way to help accelerate some of these paths. And so the EIPP is expected to have the cities get announced in the first quarter of next year. It's expected there'll be 5, and then for flights to take place starting in the summer. And so we're hopeful that Hawthorne gets picked, and that's one of the places that we can operate out of. It would make sense. It's right in the middle of all these operations that we're working on. But we'll see what happens, and nonetheless, we'll be still using the airport as building up the different assets here as we build into just commercializing and ultimately into the Olympics.
Okay. And did you feel like you needed to make this acquisition because maybe partners within the LA area weren't moving as fast as you like, or is that kind of just silly conjecture? Or I just kind of want to get a sense of what drove you to pull the trigger beyond just these assets don't come up for sale very often.
It's just very unique, Chris. It's something like if we didn't do it now, it may never come up ever again, or at least in in my lifetime for us to go do something like that. And so need, I think the answer is no. Super opportunistic, I think the answer is definitely. And so in the aviation world, I think this is viewed as like a, absolutely treasured asset right in the middle, of the city. This airport is 3 miles from LAX. So if you think about all the complexities that are at LAX, which we will not have to deal with. And so if you can connect this airport to LAX, it could end up being a massive terminal that is used to shuttle not just even hundreds of people, but potentially even thousands of people to the airport because you're out of the complex airspace where there's a jet landing at LAX every 90 seconds. So just the opportunities here are quite incredible. And it was just something that we couldn't pass up. And so, it was viewed as something that was sort of a once in a company kind of opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your questions, Chris. That will conclude our analyst question and answer session. I would now like to pass the call back over to Adam.
Thanks. So I know we're running. I'm still going to go through at least one of the retail questions that was just asked. And so the question was, with the recent deal with Korean Air, are you pursuing further eVTOL deals and agreements with other major Asian aviation conglomerates? So yes, I am personally spending a lot of time in the second half of this year abroad, and I've been with customers, senior government leaders, and particularly in the Middle East and in Asia. And the reception has been very strong and incredibly validating. And so our model is certainly resonating. The progress that we're making in the UAE, both in flight testing and on the regulatory development, has driven a lot of inbound interest across the region, and especially at countries that are looking to fast track commercial service with proven partners. So we're seeing that same momentum in Asia and in Europe as governments are looking to integrate urban air mobility into the national transportation strategies. So you've seen it in Korea and Japan, where we were selected as the air taxi partners for both of the national flag carriers. And I think there's going to be a lot more coming. A lot of these conversations will converge at the Dubai Air Show. And so we look forward to sharing a lot more when the time is right. So with that, I think I will wrap up the call. So I want to thank everybody for joining. This is a very meaningful time for our industry, and we are building thoughtfully and steadily towards our vision. I want to thank the team, the partners for all their work and commitment, and we look forward to sharing more progress next quarter. Thanks.
Whoa.
I'm not going to lie. That was not the only retail question asked. Are you taking the piss? You're taking the mic. That is not the only retail question that got asked.
Yeah.
Are you partnering with anyone else?
That was a hand-selected question. We're just going to choose a random one out of the bucket. Oh, are we going to do any more deals like Korea? Like, what are we on about? No one cares.
Who asked that question?
No one cares. We want to know, where are we with design? That's what everyone wants to know. Yeah. I think before we jump too far into it, we need to hear from the biggest Archer bull. We've got Dylan here. What's your feelings? What's the vibe after that?
For the percentage drawdown, I'm really calm, actually. It's one of those weird times where you hear a business plan and you hear, continued adaptations or additions onto the business plan. And again, as I said yesterday on Joby's call, what's your horizon and what are we really looking to gain year over year inside of these eVTOL specific equity stocks? I'm actually really calm leaving that call. To me, what again I heard Adam again. To me, at the beginning, he felt a little subdued, maybe a little just kind of like gut punched or something like that. But I felt like he kind of wrapped it around more to feeling calm. Was more the disposition I felt like was taken more as the call kind of got out of the prepared remarks and such. What I see from Archer again is a business plan, which expands further out than just being a owner and operator of an air taxi network. I think again, something I heard in there, along with the congratulations to both Beta and Joby that he gave earlier, was for the eVTOL ecosystem to succeed, survive, whatever word you want to put in there. It may have to be a more collaborative effort between these companies, as opposed to everybody trying to do their own thing and just trying to win that way. So with the Hawthorne, and also keep in mind, there was the 650 million offering that basically just got announced. So again, your dilution, we're going to have to see how the market eats that up over the next day, week, and such like that, see how that responds as well. So we do have to understand that a bunch of more shares were just dumped onto the market, and we'll see how that goes. But for what I would say, again, when he's talking about Hawthorne, is he's looking at that, again, as a business opportunity, not just for Archer Aviation, but other eVTOL companies. And he's selecting one. And I know we were talking earlier, and that's where it's really good to listen to the Hustle Brothers, because we were talking about these aren't necessarily purchases. There's leases. This could, expire in 30 years and such. So we could obviously do some background checking and see, are there other major municipal airports that would be coming up for sale, just to check kind of his authenticity in that part of the answer. Maybe I'll let Reece, if he caught, or Liam caught the boring tunnel aspect of it. But what I heard is again, Hawthorne is almost like this hub. And as we've talked about, how are these eVTOLs going to be able to get you safely through security? To me, that almost sounded like a lean into where you're going to go ahead and get your Midnight to deliver you to Hawthorne, and there may be a transportation method that's then going to take you again directly to your flight or your FBO inside of there. So yeah, initial feelings, I feel calm. I don't feel like there's a lot of smoke blown. He just was kind of direct with what he had. To me, I don't feel like he oversold me personally anything in it. I've considered Archer the middle child in this eVTOL industry. I think, a year ago or so, the retail coverage really started ramping up and really wanted to kind of compare where Archer was to Joby and in the build aspect of it, kind of putting aside the flight testing and what is able to be accomplished there. And now that we're hearing quarter after quarter, Archer has their plan, whether us as investors, other company investors agree with it. They have a CTOL campaign in which they're looking to get through. They have 704AX, which they spoke about, that will have the 4-blade aft rotors, and that's the design, or if we're calling that the redesign, that's the prop going forward. And then again, didn't hear a lot of shots taken at competitors. Felt like he nodded to Beta a little bit, and I'm okay with that. Because again, the Beta charging ports may play an integral part into these eVTOL networks. And yeah, honestly, calm. And then he was talking again about revenue coming through 2026. It's still some questions in the air, but I guess the initial reaction, and I'll let everybody else get in, but I feel calm. And it's always, if it went up 50 to 100%, obviously I'd be like, oh, loving the portfolio today. But again, for where I personally feel mentally with Archer and where it sits, if there's cash on the sidelines for myself, this is a way better buying opportunity than sitting at $10 and waiting for the next catalyst to come. So, yeah.
Reece, how are you feeling?
A bit of a mixed one, really. I actually kind of see it slightly differently. I think Hawthorne, mentioning Boring Company, mentioning Hawthorne was where they started the first winged flight or something. All red herrings. Basically, look over there. There's nothing over here. That's what that is how I seen it. Design, yeah, we're proceeding with design. Like we said, we're going into the TIA process. There's 10 different TIAs going in. There'll be something in by the end of the year. That's the crux of it, really, isn't it? Like, we're gonna have an airport, but nothing to put in the airport. And then can they do testing there? No, it has to still be at Salinas. Like realistically, I agree 100% with Dylan. I think we haven't really been promised anything now, and I do think that we might need, just as I was saying before, I think we need to keep the boat steady, an earnings call, 2 earnings calls, and then when we have big news, be like TIA testing's underway, all up and running, let's go. I think the Boring Company, I think mentioning that Elon Musk, they just know what they're doing, don't they? I think it'll have nothing to do with it whatsoever, other than the fact that it might be in the same town or something. I don't know what Hawthorne is like. I've never heard of Hawthorne. Is it a very popular place, Dylan? As someone that's from America?
I'll be honest, I'm on the other coast, but it does ring enough of a bell for me being somebody that's not an aviation expert. Hawthorne is, I would say, kind of like your Kitty Hawk and such. It would be a known name. I don't know if you could have quizzed me before this and said, Dylan, where's Hawthorne Airport? Would I have nailed it? But I got it now, though. 3 minutes outside of LAX.
I don't know. I feel like I came on to an analyst call to hear about we've bought an airport, and I was a bit like, I didn't want an airport. I want an air taxi that can vertically take off and transition. And I just think 126 million is an awful lot of cash, shareholders' money, really, that you are spending for what it sounds like to me is it's a hub, and it's going to be great for. Look, we can call a spade a spade. They're not going to be cargo and passengers at the World Cup. I don't think they're really going to be cargo and passengers at the Super Bowl, and that leaves the Olympics. So really, we spent 126 million for something that will be great for the Olympics, but the return on investment is going to be wild because yes, you do still have it going forward. But if you're going to go around dishing out 126 million on every major city just because you have an airport and they don't come around often, and when you get asked why did you do it other than they don't come around often, because it might not come around in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's a huge.
Do you know what? That's like me saying the Lamborghini, like the Hustle Brothers would buy a Lamborghini because it might not come around in my lifetime. Like,
but I can't drive.
I didn't like that answer. That really rang alarm bells. Boring Company, as Reece said. Do you know what? We're throwing Elon's name into this. And that's the first time I'm just like, do you know what? Stop taking the piss, bro. Like, really. Stop throwing Elon into it. Stop involved in this, that, and the other. I don't know. I'm a bit deflated. Look, positive sides. We can say it's a great asset to have. I'm in mixed feelings about this hub.
The other thing though, I will say on the flip side though, they're basically going all in on that Olympics. So 2027 Olympics, I am 2028. Sorry, 2028 Olympics. I'm almost certain we'll be there. We'll be flying. We'll be ready because like this is a big commitment. It's not. Oh, we might do, we might not. This is basically
that's the problem. If they are not there at the Olympics in a big way, why do we have this hub now?
It can't do.
And then saying you can subcontract it sort of out to other competition. So are you basically saying, right, LA is not us. We're going to let as much competition in as possible, so they can help us expand out this envelope. It's a bit like, but why have you spent 126 million on it? Like, we would have been laughing at Joby yesterday if they turned around and said, right, we spent 130 million on some random airport I've never heard of. Look, guys, you might know that. But when we're saying LAX is busy, 126 million is very expensive because LAX is busy. Really.
Yeah.
And to say it's going to free up and you're going to be able to travel from Hawthorne to LAX, but what if I have a flight into LAX and I have nothing to do with Hawthorne? If I fly from Ireland into America to go to the Olympics, I am going to LAX. Doesn't matter how busy it is. It's mind-blowing me why this earning call could have been so good. We could have heard an awful lot more about Lilium's patents. I wanted to hear a lot more about the development of Midnight, and it felt like the majority of it was taken up by how great this asset's
Yeah.
going to be. But the asset wasn't something we were ever looking at. None of us ever. No matter how many people come on this, and I know you're all going to be sitting in the chat thinking I'm some sort of madman, but no matter what Archer investor you asked before this call or before the earnings came out, you are not expecting Archer to buy an airport. And you don't tell me you wanted them to go out with that. You wanted them to now dilute to buy an airport.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
I dilute, I wanted them to speed up the runway towards certification. I wanted them to pump that into manufacturing to get it out. We've now went all in on Los Angeles. Now Los Angeles more or less is our hub. We have to branch out from there. I don't know.
Did you catch a part that he said, and maybe there'll be some clarification as it continues to roll out with the EIPP, was talking about how basically it was going to have to be VFR, point-to-point VFR, and good weather is something he was saying in there. So it'd be interesting come Q1 when those cities are released. I'm thinking, again, in Florida with that Orlando and Tampa that DeSantis was talking about. I'm curious if that will be one area, as again, Florida's going to have your area basically to have good operations year round. LA is the same. New York, anything you get kind of Virginia and above here on the Northeast, that's where your weather, winter weather is going to impact. It would, be 40 yesterday, 80 today, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I agree with you but for me, I was not going into this call expecting an airport to be bought, but it, like usually on an Archer call, I feel like I'm surprised, shocked, some other adjective in which I put in there. And I don't know, again, I might be thinking crazy, but I think that this is something along a business plan. And I don't know, I think it would be curious. It's all hindsight 50-50 to know if another eVTOL company in this industry was to spend that to get that asset, how would we really think about that? Is it because that Archer's further behind in their aircraft development? That
Initially that I can see where you're going with that. I did think initially this was all part of a business plan. I did, honestly. I thought, look, he's going to say it's situated near to this, but he literally came out in the question and said, "Why? Other than that, why did you buy it?" And he said, "Because the hard come by, and I won't get that done in my lifetime." And it was a bit like,
that's fair.
Was it a split-second decision when you sort of seen an airport go up for sale? Was that part of the business? Because it's not like he's openly said these do not come about often. So even if this is a great success and it's unbelievable, it's not like we can just go to every city and roll them out. So it's a bit like this is not a multi-billion-dollar business because it starts confusing me. What am I invested in? Am I invested in an air taxi business, or am I now invested in a business that owns eVTOL hubs that now subcontracts out eVTOL hubs to other eVTOL businesses with flying air taxis? And if this is a major success, and more than likely it will be a great asset to them. I'm not worried about. I know I keep banging on about 126 million. I think it's a bit random, but look, more than likely, it is going to be a great opportunity. But you can't replicate it. He's openly said that these opportunities do not come around. So it's like, so why do it? It feels like it's a stunt just for the Olympics, which Reece said we're doubling down now. We're saying we have to be in there in a big way by 2028, because if not, this is going to be a clown show. Like, put it this way, if we are not there by 2026, then you've 2 events left. How much of a presence can we have in 2027? I don't believe that much. And then 2028, when we actually bang the numbers together, are we going to have hundreds to thousands of midnight there, or are we going to have 10 to 20 midnight there? And then if we only have 10 to 20 midnight there, it's 126 million, not an awful lot of money to spend on that.
Fair. And I think something that you brought up there when you said, what am I invested in? And again, I look at the market cap. These these eVTOL companies are stretched. I mean, yes, Joby now is a $22 million revenue company. Archer said again that I'll go back to my notes, but they said they may have a slight bit of revenue on the books this year, more for 2026 and moving forward. So again, we are invested in a high market cap company with probably a lot of forward-looking PE ratios to support the valuations in there. So when you talk about 2028 and this kind of being either part of the plan or now trying to figure out what was going to happen in 2028, regardless, I think of them owning this asset or not, if they don't have the aircraft to perform for the exclusive air taxi network, it was falling apart in 2028 either way.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's kind of a dual thing. And I actually felt like this one might have been spoken a little bit more tightly than, we look back to this time of year during the Archer call when it was, we're doing Archer Defense, we're launch edition program. It's like all this is being thrown out there where
what confused me on this?
Go for it.
I know I keep banging out about the airport. We will discuss everything else because I actually think there was quite a few good things in it. And guys, I'm not bearish Archer. Before anyone jumps on, I'm just crapping on Archer the whole time. I will literally say it how I feel, and this is the first thing that's jumped to my head.
Yeah, good.
So, they've acquired an airport now. Yeah. So, are they keeping it as an airport, or are they making it an eVTOL hub? And if they're making it an eVTOL hub, why not just build an eVTOL hub rather than acquire an airport with this big runway? So, are we actually going to keep it as an airport? And that way, we're now investing in a business, not only an air taxi company, we're now invested in the running of an airport too.
And I was curious, actually, it's something he had mentioned in there when we were talking about it being the airport. To me, something that got spoken there was the ability to have your larger airplanes land, so your private jets and stuff like that. So when you are having these VIPs and these dignitaries, again, I'll have to sort through my brain, give it a day to figure would LAX be a better place for them to go versus Hawthorne and such like that. But if you can land these dignitaries 3 miles away from, again, it's not just from LAX, in the general LA area. Because again, I think when you were talking, Liam, if you were to catch a flight and it was landing at LAX, I highly doubt the aircraft that would be taking you over the pond would be landing at a Class B airport, like Hawthorne. So I would highly doubt in that situation, that the eVTOL, that would be more of something where it's like, okay, now you've landed at LAX. Where are you looking to go? And
that's
why
what
did you?
confuses me.
Yeah, sure.
It's going to be like regional flights coming into this Hawthorne airport, because if you think the Olympics, you're getting people coming worldwide. LAX is going to be their spot, and I'm just confused now. Are they going to start running vertiport flights from LAX to Hawthorne? But then why are we getting Hawthorne involved if we're going to have a hub at LAX?
And I think a question too, Mike, and an honest question I have would go back to security baggage checking and stuff like that. So like, let's say you were able to VTOL into Hawthorne and being 3 miles from, and there you have, like I said, they have the active flight tower and such like that. So that went down the lines, and like Priya talking about getting some money off the ATCs and everything like that too. But I would have to dig deeper to see if you basically point of it is if you land at Hawthorne, do you have the clearance to take a car, drive it into LAX and then board your plane, or is there additional security that's needed on that side? So I think maybe that's something I need to dig a little bit deeper into and figure out, how Hawthorne has played into LAX in the past.
I quite like this comment. So they don't need an airport if they can VTOL. You can literally build a vertiport for a few million. And that's what I'm sort of getting at is, okay, but you can build these vertiport like for much cheaper than 126 million. So why have Archer gone out of the way to give the ability for jetliners to be able to land here? Like, if you're intending to be primarily vertical takeoff land, we know we
I'm
can
with you.
and push it for conventional takeoff and landing. It just feels like 126 million is an awful lot of money just to have the ability to have an aircraft land there just because LAX may be busy. And then, like, I was looking at like the places you can get to, like SoFi Stadium or so. But like, if we go, look,
Yeah,
I'm
go
not
for it.
that up on your stadiums over there, but I'm thinking of the UK. So, like in London, you could have Wembley Stadium, you could have the Emirates Stadium, you could have Stamford Bridge. Like, it doesn't matter what city you go to, you could have any stadium. So it's like, I just don't know. I'm just so confused about this
So
airport.
okay, let me throw this thought at you. So I think let's not think short term. Let's think long term, and let's think why we invested into Archer Aviation as a company. Yep, but VTOL is included, but let me just put that on the side for a moment. Are we investing into Archer Aviation to be successful and be in business for 5 years? I don't, I would assume, at least I'll speak for me, that I am expecting Archer Aviation, the brand, to be developing, commercializing, and to become a household name. So as we push forward, so again, let's just say that's, a 30-year lease, as we tend to think we know on that. Once, as he kind of did pause a little bit on the Lilium and said that their tech when he got asked, what's more important from Lilium, the battery tech or the inducted fans? And Adam basically was like, their tech was so advanced, it's not really relevant right now. It's for future aircraft. So I am curious, again, if you are able to procure this asset and we look at it over a 10 to 20 year cost span, as you're going to, again, decrease the amount of, what that upfront capital was. And again, to have Adam say, even though we don't want to always love dilution, to have Adam say that we don't expect to raise more cash for a very long time. So we'll have to see his word on that, see if we can get through 2026 without any further dilution. But I am wondering if just when you kind of sit down at the drawing board of a aircraft OEM supplier network, whether it is 20 to 30 minute flights or regional capabilities, if this is something that, could fall into a I don't know, growing business plan. So again, basically my point is, if Archer Aviation is here in 20 years, would Hawthorne Airport still look like Hawthorne Airport does today? I don't know. I don't have that crystal ball answer. So yes, to the point, could you convert other land and spaces to vertiports for less? But LA is a crowded place. And again, yeah.
I'm going to throw this back at you. How much money would you want them to throw at that airport, considering it like, I know we're talking long term, but it's a 30-year lease. And Mark openly said it to us that, like, with these leases, they don't normally,
I got something for you.
Reinstate the lease after it. So do you want them to pump all this capital into it for someone else to then take over the
maybe
aircraft? Okay, go for it.
Maybe. So here, this just popped, and this is why it's great to talk. It's like that. This is why I love talking with Liam and everything, because again, it's a way to open my mind. Now I'm going to lose my thought. You were saying, and it was a good thought too. You were saying,
so it's about the lease. And,
Okay. So Adam had spoke about basically if he didn't do so. Let's think that all these eVTOL companies have 200 aircraft by 2027 or 2028. We're just out there. Where are they storing them? Like, I don't know if we've necessarily looked down the angle of what hangar, what bay is holding these things. I mean, LAX is built. I mean, it's a huge. I mean, you can go to. I live by Reagan National, Dulles, BWI, all that. I could take a bird's eye view and see if there's additional space to build out in those airport infrastructures and build out the land and such like that. But yeah, I think for me, it kind of did click a little bit when he was talking about, we have the options then to, or if we did not purchase the airport, we would maybe be in a position where we would be leasing hangars, having to buy hangars, for ... expense.
That is a valid point, to be fair.
I appreciate that. So I mean, you come off this call and you hit a valid point. It's like, okay, I'll take it. Thank you.
No,
No,
that is a valid point. I didn't actually think of it that way, so I'll give you that.
But that's why we talk about it, to figure out the confusion that comes out after these calls. So, whether it's Archer saving money, putting up money now to save money for future, to save money for future operations and future asset procurement, and now, if they do have that, and if LA is one of the first cities within the US to get the market survey flights or the EIPP rollout, again, kind of you got to go through Archer again, because that's Archer's bed. So, and then to the vertiport build out again. I know we were talking a lot a few months ago again, where it was like any building in LA, I think it was like over 20 stories, might have been 40 stories, was mandated to have a helipad on the top of it. But then we were kind of racking our brains on like, okay, well, what are you going to do with a helipad on a 100-foot building? Like you got to take the escalator up there, figure it out, get down, security, everything. Go, watch the old videos. We've definitely chopped up on that. So it's maybe, can be left field. But, definitely would, over the next days, it'd be very interesting to kind of crowdsource this information, see how investors within Archer kind of digest and feel about this move going forward. And then also to any of the competitors, kind of any points that are brought up, bullish or bearish, on this. And also maybe to forward look in to see, actually this just, I was going to say something else, but maybe also to see as they have procured this, what infrastructure starts to change. Do they get the beta technology, charging ports start put in? So I think, again, we have an old school asset, and what are we going to do with it? ...
Yeah, no, I do get your point. I'm just so confused on
That's
why
okay.
we have to quiet an airport.
That's okay.
Lucas having a big shout out, my guy with the super chat. No sad news, no defense, no VTOL progress, guys. Now, the only thing about
Yeah.
so no sad news. They did do certification progress in the press release, so you have to give them that. Defense, they did actually touch a little bit on Andrew. Now, I'm not gonna lie. They did say it is confidential. I fully believe it is confidential. Andrew will have their lips tightly sealed on everything that happens there. It's not Archer employees that can just go in and see what the development's like in a Andrew manufacturing facility. So when it comes to the defense, I do actually think that lips will be tightly sealed. You heard Adam say when he gets news, he will share it, and I actually do believe he will share it about the hybrid VTOL. Now, no VTOL progress, guys. I actually came into this call thinking we're going to hear an awful lot more about when we're going to get this VTOL transition. Have you any thoughts on that, Dylan?
Yeah. Do you mind just popping that back up if you get a chance, just so I can hit on each point of that one? So no cert news. So what I would say on that was they were speaking of the aircrafts that are being built right now, and that they're going to be having different ones go through different stages of the cert. And I believe a comment came up during the stream over whether you had to have one aircraft in full to get it through certification, or I think more the question was to that. Now, from any information I know, you can actually have 4, 5, 6, 8 of these aircraft with different pieces being certified during the TIA testing. Now, yes, you're going to have the conforming aircraft to get that passed for full, FAA certification. But to my knowledge, I believe the TIA testing could start with production aircrafts that they have rolling, excuse me, off the line. And continue to talk about Georgia. I would like to hear a little bit more about the final status on the 2 that were in Georgia last quarter. And to defense, this one, again, just so I'm not super permeable on Archer, one thing that caught me a little off guard, because yes, you're right, Liam, as he says, usually he cannot say anything. Actually, I did think that he didn't take any shots at Joby. Actually, there he did take a small one under the product development. When they're hybrid propulsion, he says deep in the process of product development for specific missions, you can, and he's kind of stamped this for about 2 calls at least now, saying you can't just slap a hybrid powertrain on and that's going to be good enough for the defense missions. So that was your little shot at Joby or the competitors. But following that, though, even though he's not able to say anything on Andrew, he did mention if we are selected to this program. So again, is that still Andrew testing some in-house capabilities versus what they want to buy off the shelf with Archer? So again, needing to really show out proof of concept and able to get what ultimately will be the programs of record, to which I believe Adam was speaking about, and saying that these are going to be the ones that are going to be your 10, 15-year commitments, to which he tailored, saying a higher cash balance sheet was something that the DoD would be impressed by, kind of knowing that you're able to fulfill those orders and come through on that. And I believe the last one was on VTOL. To me, what I heard in VTOL was that 704AX is configured with the 4-aft blade, 4-aft blade prop rotor. Sorry, I'm jumbling that all up. But we, through kind of tracking again the ADBS system, being through final stage, and that being notated that it is with the 4 blade, I would say that's pushing us towards VTOL. And actually, Tom said at the beginning, finishing CTOL test campaign. I believe I'll go back to my notes. I believe he said something about VTOL in Q1, but also something that stood out to me was the alignment between the Joby and Archer with inside the GCAA, where it looks like it's all Q3 2026, which again,
and he was pretty adamant revenue would be from Q3 26 in UAE. So that was very bullish.
And I think, again, to me, and I go back and check it, I've said this for months, I think there is a battle of soil for first showcase of this technology. And I've said in the past that the FAA has been an apparent brick wall for the eVTOL industry to crack and get into. So I think at this time last year, Adam thought the FAA was going to be very hard to crack into. Previous administration was switching over. Some unknowns there, most likely. And he had to pivot the business. And he's like, I got to bring revenue through the door. And if the FAA is not going to start these aircraft, but the GCAA is very interested, not to go down the whole rabbit hole of like, if oil resources and those money start drying up out there, is UAE looking to be kind of on that tech forefront of that next kind of wave to, continue to be a highly valued country. Sorry, I'm speaking on something that more global that I'm not going to say right. But point is, I do believe that there's a battle between FAA and GCAA and internally with these companies. And I think that if they're going to fully lean into UAE, any of these companies, if they're just going to fully lean into Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and working with GCAA, I think it may limit their opportunities to have the things such as the unpaid DARs and the DERs on the floor. Sorry, that's my son's side. I apologize, or I already apologized. I just don't know if, I'll stick on that, and not to lose my thought. I think that there's a soil pull between the GCAA and FAA, and I'm just curious if there was harder lean in to the GCAA and all about delivering to UAE by certain milestones or guidance, if that would hurt the FAA's lean in or the administration's lean in to support the development of the air taxi network and the eVTOLs.
Let me just jump in here, Dax. We're normally on the same team, but Liam, there's hundreds of millions of flights outside LAX. I have 2 answers to that question. So number 1, there's even more flights outside of Hawthorne. And number 2 is I wouldn't start downplaying LAX then, because you need LAX to be as busy as they can, because that's one of the sole reasons why they have Hawthorne. So you need LAX to be busy. Liam, you're on the space later. Oh, do you know what? It is late here. Why don't we run a Spaces tomorrow and we can actually bang the 2 Joby and Archer together, just because if I run that could go on for another 2 hours or so. Chloe Pitchin says, I am out. Y'all don't know shit. No problem. There's always one guy. AJ says private jets.
And really quick on the private jet, something that I'm interested in and to see which company picks this up. I believe that NetJets had I don't want to say a partnership, maybe a future looking partnership with a company called NetJets. So I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's basically a big private jetliner. Or basically you call them, they'll get you a private jet, all that kind of stuff, So again, if we forward look into not just the short range eVTOL opportunities and use case missions, and looking at again that 3 to 5 year battery tech, possible depending on battery tech or possible powertrain adjustments. I'm just going to forward look at just like how Joby was able to get Blade. I'm very curious if NetJets will come in and show any affinity to any individual eVTOL company or the eVTOL sector as a whole. So watch out for NetJets, and let's see what they have to talk about later or come up with as well.
Guys, also make sure you've banged that subscribe button. We are running a giveaway now in the next 5 minutes or so. Make sure you've banged that subscribe button and hit the like button. I'll tell you what, guys, Joby investors were beating you. They had 58 likes, I think it is. You're at 49, so do smash that like button. Jumping across. This is LA, not Kazakhstan. A decent house is a couple of million. Fair play, my guy. Joby paid less for Blade acquisition. Joby paid 76 to acquire Blade passenger business. Yeah, the only thing is this is completely different to a bit. That is completely apples to oranges. This is an airport. I kind of get what you mean, but
it is different. Good point, Tom. But yeah, I think just different use cases.
Mr. Matt, come on, Liam. You aren't giving the Archer Bros the copium they need. You're being too honest.
That's what we do.
Look, I'm just being honest, my guy.
Yeah.
I'm not bearish on Archer. I just want to. I'm just saying how it is. Not gonna lie. Ty Rogers says Los Angeles is the only place where Archer can scale rapidly. The application of the business model fits. I live in LA, and Hawthorne purchase is huge. And look, I can't go against you. If you live in the location, you know an awful lot more than me. So big shout out, my guy. Thank you for clearing that up. I guess an airport is a good asset to have. Oh, okay. 2 billion in cash, 125 million. Not bad. Not. Let's not get down this. Let's not get down this.
Well, if we say to the financial guidance, Archer basically shaved a quarter off of their basically in cash burn rate to acquire. Well, then again, they put the 650, so we're gonna have to see what the cash balance sheet is. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess differing opinions. I personally don't know if the 125 million is not that bad. I'll do some research and see if any of these, smaller airports have been sold in the past, going rates and da. But yeah, so basically just to that comment, I think I can agree with it. And then if we want to look at it on the other side, Archer, who is still in the build phase, did take about a quarter off of their opportunities, on the cash that they have on the balance sheet.
Dax, I want to actually throw it in a different way. So if you had a $2 million portfolio in Archer Aviation, would you spend 125,000 of that investing in an airport on the side? Do let me know. Dax, they didn't use existing funds for 125 million purchase. They just announced dilution. Going into TIA with only 700 miles flown. I don't want to really talk about that.
I got you.
Dax did diluted. No, you can't use that against Joby for a while. 125 million dilution versus how much for Joby? I
think it was 650.
Is it 625?
Yeah, I'll go to the SEC right now. We'll see if we got a filing on it for you guys. So yeah, keep going with them comments.
I think it's 650.
Yeah, I'll check that out for you right now.
Vas, big shout out, my guy. There's a big Segundo connection here. It's the VC reindustrialization hotbed right now. wouldn't the L3 Harris program have the same confidentiality rules? We did get updates from Joby yesterday. Not necessarily. It depends what program they're going for. Ty Rogers says, just let the engineers do their work. Adam is doing what he needs to do to set them up to succeed, and technology is ready. In today's world, with AI, the tech will be there. Fair play, my guy. Yeah, Tom's saying it's 650 million dilution.
Yeah, looking up
After a
there.
good night's sleep, I'm sure you'll see this call in another light. Back says, back to $8 like a few months ago. Went to 15, now back again. Who said Archer can't VTOL? And we'll be back to 15 before you know it. Saga says, is there any chance Elon will tie up with Archer? My average is 1080. What's your Dylan and Liam make us feel better? Okay, so do I think Elon will tie up with Archer? I think we would have heard it today. We would have heard something. Yes, we heard about the Boring Company. But
I think it's
the Tesla rumors are dead. What are you thinking, Dylan?
Yeah, I think on the Tesla, I think until there's something materially factual around it, I put
We heard
Tesla.
nothing about that UP Summit meeting with Tesla, did we?
No, not on this call at all. No. Again, I mean, I guess I got to go with the crowd and be like, if they partner with Tesla, would I love it? Yes, but I didn't invest in Archer, waiting for 2 years in the hopes that Elon will grab this company and dot.
That's the only thing. Like, if you're dependent on Tesla, you just have to invest in Tesla. Like, don't expect Tesla to pull any of your stocks out of anything. It'd be great to have Tesla on board, but look, none of us invested for Tesla, so I wouldn't worry too much. 1080 is actually quite a nice average, to be fair. I wouldn't be too worried. This whole macro conditions is pulling the whole thing down. That was actually a solid call, I believe. My problem is not actually about the call. It's about the actual acquisition. So I need to separate that. I think Archer actually done very well. I think Adam presented quite well in the call. I think he answered the questions quite well. But it was just the acquisition. Like the Lilium they're open to expanding the product envelope. They said they're concentrating on a midnight for now, which I'm actually very happy to.
Sure.
I wouldn't want them to start developing
That's a good point.
aircraft without midnight being fully able to do exactly what it says in the tin. But yeah, it sounds like they are going to be using Lilium stock fans and that for a light sports aircraft. And that kind of made me think, as a Horizon aircraft investor, would that actually scare you off a bit? Because now you have Lilium's ducted fans. And you
That
have
is
a
fair.
much healthier balance sheet.
Those are good points.
Contacts. You have the airliners. That's what I was about to say.
And two, I'm not sure. Again, well, again, just to the comment again, you just got to figure out your time horizon and your confidence and belief in the company. And then to your point on the earnings call, Liam, it's I'm not an analyst. I just pretend to be one on YouTube. So I do my best. But I think this is like the fourth total earnings call, 2 for Joby, 2 for Archer, breaking down. What was the common theme that we heard prior to this call? What did we, not what we wanted, but what did we not want? We didn't want Adam to overpromise and underdeliver on the call. I don't know if he overpromised anything. So
no, I'm actually quite happy about
that.
He didn't send me down a whole.
It wasn't a complete salesman. Yeah, I mean, it's again but again, and two, I was going to say on the Hawthorne, not to keep beating the stick on it. It was brought up, it was mentioned, but again, to the analyst Q&As, those were fine. Every analyst had a question on Hawthorne. They weren't asking questions about when you're going to VTOL, how 70 or 704AX. We heard the ping signal. What are you doing at Salinas? ... I go back through my notes, but if it wasn't every analyst, it was, I would say 80+% of the analysts, they wanted to know more about this Hawthorne acquisition. So,
yeah,
it did get turned there, and we were getting a lot of questions on it, and maybe it's not as much depth of answer that we would like. But again, if Adam would have came out and been like, oh, well, we bought Hawthorne and it's going to be $100 million revenue generator within 2 years and is that the PR, Adam, that we don't want on these calls, the overpromise or underdeliverer? Or do we want him to say, I bought this because, man, this is an asset that doesn't come up for sale a lot, and it's extremely close to the proximity in which we're looking to fly and do our air taxi operations, and we're even willing to back off a little bit and say there will be other competitors in this industry, and they may need a place to land, store their aircraft, do their MRO, and they may have to go through Archer. So I'm not saying the Archer's the industry leader or furthest ahead, but I'll just
I
be
think
bold.
you're starting to see the two businesses completely diverge away. You can sort of see a direction two of them are going in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to start, I don't know, sort of putting different, I don't know, signposts on each, not goalposts. Goalposts a bit of a. At the moment, we can run them both down the same goalpost because they're both going for certification. But when it actually comes to how they're going running the business, I do think it's going completely two different ways. One now is looking to sell the aircraft. Then they're now getting into like what you could more or less say is they're going to have different hubs around. I think this is going to be a test bed for owning different hubs to be able to then lease out space to different eVTOL providers. I will get my head around this airport acquisition. I think it just shocked me, to be fair, about the whole acquisition. I will get my head around it. I'll probably be bullish on it in the morning. It's one of those. I just can't wrap my head around that at the moment. But guys, do smash that subscribe button and also hit the like button. I'm about to do a giveaway. You've literally 30 seconds to do this to enter the giveaway. So yeah, do smash that subscribe button. We're nearly at 4,000 subs. Do you know what? Can't believe it.
Thank you. That's awesome.
It's been a year since my first live stream, guys. I can't believe it. It's been a wild ride.
You're doing great.
They're building the central hub for eVTOLs. I love it. Big shout out. Invest in DD says, good point, Liam. Adam, much more grounded today. Christian White, they should rename that airport. I just want one. So, guys, let me bang that in there. So, we've just gifted 5 memberships. We're about to do 5 more. Tom, you've got one, my guy.
Hey,
Tom Marcelli. Zed Stacker has one.
Nice.
Scott Invest. Keegan. Do you know what? Matan's in here, my guy. Big shout out, Matan.
Gotcha.
There, Tom Marcelli. Thanks for the membership, guys. Guys, I wasn't lying to you. I'm going to give away 5 more, so make sure you've smashed the like button, smash the subscribe button. Archer always wants to beat Joby. Joby always wants to beat Archer. But at the moment, I can tell you officially, Joby got more likes yesterday. Archer, I knew would get more views, but Joby seems to be beating you on likes, so do smash the like button. Look, you're tied now. You're both at 58, so let's get us to 60 likes, and I will drop another membership. Dylan, overall, thoughts about this whole call? How are you feeling coming out of it? We're sitting around $8. Are you buying more tomorrow? What are you doing?
Man, I got the money tree in the backyard, right? Okay, if I got the hypothetical money tree in the backyard,
I'm like, I really want to. What am I gonna do to get it?
Exactly. The not financial advice, and for my portfolio, yes, it's closer to my DCA. It wouldn't wreck my cost basis if I was to average up a little bit. I personally have bought shares at times during around the 1050 range, even on the pullbacks when it was up in the 13 and pulling back to the 10s based on general fib levels, the macro environment, as well as where the company was at in their stage of progress and such like that. I think for me, again, it's time horizon. And for me, in this sector, I'm giving it time. And so for me, if my plan was to accumulate towards the end of this year, if I wasn't looking at a particular share price, maybe some people have end of year share counts they'd like to get to as well. Right now, it's a 20% discount from the $10 share price that it could have been sitting at. So again, it's always that crazy thing, you know, in investing where when something goes red, especially when it's in your portfolio, it can hurt. It doesn't feel great, you know, that night, the next day when you wake up and see that. But with proper research on the companies, with staying up to date as we do, I've always said with Archer, you know, I studied them deeply, and you know, I believe that they will be a competitive and successful business in the future. I don't have the crystal ball to tell you exactly when their revenue will beat them to profitability, or will get them to profitability. So, you know, maybe 27, 28, or maybe it will even have to go to technically 28 to 29 based on the ramp and opportunity for that. But I do, I'm going to stick and hold. Maybe I'll throw it back to you, Liam, too. I'll stick and hold to my 1250 end of year, which I spoke to probably about 6 months ago. And what I'll say just really quick again is in these emerging industry companies, if let's use easy numbers. Let's just say Archer ended the year at $10. If it was to end the year next year at $12, that's a 20% move on your money. And traditionally, that's just about doubling the S&P. So, you know, just, you know, have your expectations where you would like to have your expectations. But I'm sure that was a long-winded way to saying once I go pluck my money tree, I personally would feel comfortable buying more in this range for my portfolio.
Not gonna lie, I am very tempted to just liquidate my red wire at this stage. I ain't getting like nowhere near. I think my average around $17 or something like that, and we're sitting at like 6 today. So I think I'm just gonna blow that off. Do I bang it in Archer or Joby? Look, Archer has completely tanked, down 9%. Mark my words, this government opens back up. This would be well over the $9 anyway, and I think we're heading towards that $10 range again. I'm extremely bullish. I am confused about this whole airport thing, but I'm extremely bullish in the whole way it's going.
Yeah.
Adam has turned down the salesman on the earnings call, and I'm actually pretty happy about that. It seemed like a confident, honest Adam today. But do you know what? Lucas Lavender, are you an Archer or a Joby man?
That's a good question.
Are you an Archer or a Joby man? I'll put that straight into either Archer or Joby. Do let me know, my guy.
That's great. I love that question.
So let's hope to get that membership. Yeah, guys, last chance. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I'll leave you 30 seconds. We're about to drop 5 more memberships.
Nice.
I have a feeling everyone will look back at the airport acquisition and see it as one of the wisest choices they made early on. And you know what, Brian? You could be completely right. You're more than likely are right. I think it just more or less caught me by surprise. But look, you probably are more or less bang on there. Then who would fly an S4 that can't auto rotate or glide with no? My God. End
I love
of
you,
year
Dex.
of 1150. Hover 350. Ooh, hope so. Dax, do you know what? I'm gonna drop a video tomorrow. I'll more or less probably be like pure bullish on this airport. You know what? I'll do it for you. I'll look into this airport. I'll break it down, see how beneficial it is for Archer. However, I will be honest either way. If after researching it, after speaking to Dylan, I'll see if I'm bullish or bearish on it. I'll put my thoughts out, but do watch out for that video. But guys, yeah, Smoke Gaming says Archer is definitely steal at $8 price. I honestly do believe it is. Dax player, look, big shout, big love, my guy.
Love you.
I love this community. You can have a chat, you can have disagreements, you can have whatever, but you know what? At the end of the day, we're all human. We all respect each other. I do love it. But yeah, do you know what, guys? Let's bang in these next memberships. So good luck, my guys. How do I do it again here? Here we go. It's 5 more going straight out there.
Nice.
So, who have we got here? Christian White. Do you know what?
Hey,
You're all right
nice.
here, my guy. So big
Nice.
shout out, Christian White. Saga gets one.
Hey.
You know what? I like that.
The wish is answered.
Andrew Barish gets one.
Nice.
Starlord gets one.
Nice.
And Paul gets one. Guys,
Mm.
big shout out. Thank you so much for always being here. We absolutely love it.
I
Thank
agree.
you. Love it, Saga. Do you know what?
Thank you,
Remember,
guys.
do let me know what I can start doing for you because
Mhm.
look, I do drop some videos early for the members, but I want to be able to do more for you. So members do reach out to me to let me know. But guys, did you like this? Did you like no ads? I like no ads. You like no ads? If you do, smash that like button. Sell any merch? You know what, Christian? I don't. And I'll tell you why, yeah?
Mhm.
The reason I don't sell merch is, look, we had a whole discussion, me and Reece, about where this channel's going, what we're doing. And we want to stay, I don't know, true to the fact of what we started. We wanted an eVTOL space that we could get to know everyone on a personal level. We wanted to make it free and easy for everyday working people. We didn't want, you know, you can go down 2 avenues in this creator space. You can go down sell. You can go down become members and we'll only speak to members, etc. Or you can make more money, and I'll tell you the way we make more money is we build relationships with people. We build relationships with people. People come on and tell us more information that we didn't know. That way it gets test our thesis. That way we all share it with each other and we can all make educational choices. Now, look, nothing's ever financial advice.
Mhm.
But I do like hearing everyone's opinion. As long as everyone's respectful, they can always come in. But yeah, there won't be no merch for the foreseeable. Ads, look, they're just a pain. I don't like ads. You don't like ads. Let's keep no ads.
I like that.
Let's put it that way.
I like that. Build the community. That's what it's about. And I'll be honest, behind the scenes, that's exactly what Liam and Reece have said. It's about growing the community. This was a big reason that I invested my time into watching the Hustle Brothers in the beginning, because it was always authentic and it wasn't about how can I sell you a subscription? How can I sell you my t-shirt? You know, once you've watched my video 5 times and all this. And like Liam said in the past, you know, and Reece as well, not to put Reece in the regular guy lump, as, you know, he's an awesome dude, but, you know, we're 3 regular guys covering the eVTOL industry. So, you know, if you do have any questions or, you know, if you want to talk personally, again, my X is open. Feel free to comment or to message me, and I'll throw you into it, Liam, if you want, you know. Feel free to message. And like he said, you know, really the gain in this is building friendships. I mean, literally in the past year, I've probably made more friends with inside the eVTOL community than, you know, the better part of my 30s and stuff like that. And it's a great group of guys. And whether it's Team Joby or Team Archer or Team Hover, you know, we can disagree, but I think at the end of the day, we're all human. And even when we go through something that is detrimental to our lives or impacts our lives that's outside of the eVTOL sector, you know, we can be there for each other, and we start to grow and foster those relationships. And I've even seen those come through on X as well, where that cannot always come through. So, yeah, you know, everything that Liam say, I double, triple stamp it, and just a ton of love for the community. It's a blessing to grow this together with you guys.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That is the goal, to grow this community. I would actually much rather see us hit 100,000 people invested in everything we believe in. Or look, it might not. You might be completely against us, but if you can come on, like, look, Bagger Holding is clearly not an eVTOL investor, but Bagger Holding always shows up. And do you know what? He's part of the family now. I actually love Bagger Holding.
Yeah, I got you on that.
Christian, big shout out, my guy. I want to thank you so much for that. There was no need for that. $4.99. Do you know what, Christian? Archer Joby, what do you want that in?
That's right.
Thank you so much, my guy. Dax Player says, keep no ads, but leave it open for sponsorships from companies like Archer, Olympus, etc. down the road. Joby, unfortunately, won't have the money to sponsor. I love the digs back and offer. Good job, guys. Do you know what, AJ?
Thank
you
you.
so much. Thank
That's
you for
really
showing up.
kind. Yeah,
Look,
that's really kind. Thank you.
Christian, both 250 into Archer, 250 into Joby. Love it, my guy. Do you know
Nice.
what? Thank you so much. It has been. Do you know what?
Big shout out, Goat.
Yeah, it's been a great earnings, my guys. The GOAT gains, dang. Do you know what? GOAT, stick around. I'm gonna keep rolling out memberships, my guy. Do you know what? Anyone that's diehard here, I think we just need to keep rolling out the memberships to them. So yeah, keep
Mhm.
on live streams. I'll keep rolling out. Look, I'll be dead honest with you. YouTube only lets me send out 10 a day.
Mhm.
So I think it's so you're not pumping things. So yeah. From the live streams going forward, I'll keep doing giveaways. So just make sure you smash the like button where we go. So right, on your way out, as always, do you know what? Jump into the comments, let us know exactly how you felt about this whole thing. Dylan, thank you so much for taking your time today.
Thank you for having me.
OG Hustle Brother, you'll always be here, part of the French, you know. Thank you so much, my guy. And guys, until then.